Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cavalcade Spring Fling. And this is the first day. It's a 3-day event, and we're kicking it off with our main woman right here, Brenda Jackson. Indeed,
Hello.
she has so much good stuff to tell us about her movies, what she has going on with Passion Flicks, and all of the things that she has coming in her new book. You have a new book that's coming out. What this
I
month?
had a book that came out last Tuesday on the 13th, and then this coming Tuesday on the 27th. So a rare event for me to have two books in 1 month, but Follow Your Heart should have come out in October of 2020. But because of the pandemic, the production, publishing house is closed. So that knocked the book off the schedule for 6 months. So what happened, I have two books coming out in April. So that's what you call author's nightmare, trying to promote both books in 1 month. But the one that came out last Tuesday made USA Today bestseller at number 62. So I'm glad of that. So now all my concentration is on the one you see behind me, Follow Your Heart.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I want to show off our little screen here that I spent all the time just a little while ago creating. Indeed.
Oh,
Yes. Um, my favorite is Delaney Chic, though. That's gonna forever be my favorite book by you. I'm just gonna let you know. I don't think you will ever.
okay. I
That
think,
kiss, man,
yeah,
that kiss. I'm just saying that
okay.
that kiss was everything. So
That's quite all right.
but you gotta tell us, where did that come from? That kiss, it was like being talked about everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, what
Tell us how that kiss
happened?
came about.
Okay, I was on a cruise for my 35th, I believe, class reunion. And we went on a cruise, and it was the perfect time to me to get notes to write a cruise ship romance. And the book ended up being perfect timing, as you know. But while I was on the cruise ship, I would take my pad and pen everywhere I went, observing people and all that good stuff. So a couple came and asked me, they were from Greece, and they came and asked me, what are you doing? Are you a reporter? And I say, no, I'm an author. I'm writing a romance novel. And I listed some of the romance books that I've written. And they said, oh my God, come on, a real romance novel. So well, we want to ask you something. Why do y'all never talk about the kiss Aries? I'm like, never heard of it. And they said, oh, you always talk about, that's a different type of a French kiss. And they went into detail about this kiss. So of course I was fascinated. I got their information and told them to send me information because I wanted to put it in the book I was writing. So I didn't get the information in time to put it in that book, but I got it in time to put it in Delaney Desert Chic. But before I got it, it was all in Greek. So I had to go to my favorite sandwich shop near where I work, and had the guy translate it. And I knew it was something I really shouldn't dive into. When he looked at me, he would read it. Look, I think I better let my wife translate this to you. So I said, okay, so I hung around, and she basically translated this kiss, and I wrote it down in English. And then I was just so excited that Delaney's book was what I was writing. So that's when I added it to Delaney Desert Chic book. And so you're right. A lot of people, is this for real? Is this something you made up? I say, no, it's for real. So a lot of people did research, found out it's for real. Men were writing me very upset with me because their wives wanted them to use that kiss on them. And they said that it set up unrealistic expectations. And so it was fun, but yes, the kiss is real.
Wow. Okay. Because I'm telling you that maybe it's the kiss. I don't know, but that is absolutely my favorite book by you. Is that I don't care how many
Thank
others
you.
you write,
And
I
this
cycle back to reading that one.
and it's the first of the Westmorelands. And would you believe I'm up to what, 38 books in that series now? 30 something. I say 38. Somebody just one of my readers just say 39, so it might be 39. I don't keep up, I just keep writing.
That's all right. And that's all we want. She said, I don't keep up, I keep writing.
I
There you
keep
go.
writing.
You know what? And maybe it's just me, but I've read you for years, but it seems like the older you get, the hotter the books get. What is up with that?
Oh gosh, let me tell you, Lisa, I could pull out all these manuals. When Mr. Jackson was alive, he would tell people, he would have a t-shirt on when we go to different conferences, say, yes, I am Brenda Jackson Research. Okay, so yeah, because I would ask him stuff and he say, I don't think that's possible. I say, let's try it and see, whatever. But now he's not here. So what I have, I pull my memories back, and then I have manuals, and I told my goddaughter, I said, if anything ever happened to me, you're in charge of cleaning out my desk, because if my son went through my desk, they would think, wow, what was our mama thinking about? What was she doing? Whatever, because I got manuals on positions, on this, on that. But hey, you're never too old to learn. And I'm going by what my readers told me. They said, Miss Jackson, you got to stay with the times now. It's getting hot. I don't write erotica. And there's certain words I would never use in my books. And I don't knock those who do, but I don't use it because you think of my age, and they were all a part of me growing up that were taboo. So to me, they're still taboo. So I try to use what I say is politically correct. That part of a man is a penis, and I may say shaft, manhood, but I won't ever call it the C or D word in my book, but that's the way it is. It's me. It's not, me knocking any other authors that do it, because I read other authors that do it, and I think, go girl, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. And as an author, you have to feel comfortable in doing what you do. And I love writing love scenes. I don't call them sex scenes. To me, they're love scenes because they are a communication, another way of communicating love. So I write love scenes. So I don't mind writing love scenes, and I could get as hot can get, but I still maintain a decorum of what I am comfortable with when I write them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, because I'm like, how can it get hotter? And each one is just like the heat level keeps going up and up and up. Tony Bonita is here. They call her Mama Tony, and she's one of your—
Yes, Mama Tony is my forever cruiser. I've never gone on I do a Brenda Jackson Readers Cruise every 2 years. You went with me to Alaska.
Yeah.
We had a great time. And we're going to announce Monday where we will be going in 2023. The one for this year got canceled because of the pandemic. So instead of making up for it in 22, that's my family reunion year with my family. And they will kill me if I compete with the cruise, because a lot of my family members will go on the cruise instead of the family reunion. So it's been knocked back to 2023. So I'm looking forward for Tony and her husband, Gerald. She got a Gerald too, for going on the cruise with me.
Awesome. Awesome. We have a few questions here.
Okay.
One from Sharon Elise. Thank you, Shakir, for posting, for everyone to post their questions in the chat here. How did you go about conducting your research for your novel, The Ties That Bind?
Oh gosh, would you believe, it's funny somebody asked me that, because I picked up The Ties That Bind today. And because I've been, made an offer for an auction for it. And so I picked it up today and read some of the pages in it that I liked. And my favorite scene will always be the reconnection between Randolph and Jenna. I mean, after all those years, they got back together. But the research for Ties That Bind was hard. I mean, because I had live interviews of Vietnam veterans. I had live interviews of people that existed during that time, during the civil rights movement. And that book was mostly for me because there were certain things when I was 10 years old, and that book started out when I was at the age of 10 or 11, that I didn't understand as a grown woman why the Vietnam vets were being treated like they were being treated today. And this was written when the book was written. What was all about the civil rights movement, because I lived during the period of time of segregation. I remember the black and white colored only bathrooms. And then I also wanted to understand the Black Panthers, because I mean, Angela Davis was my heroine when I was growing up. And I knew just from, reading and being a part of, reading all about it, they were good guys until the FBI came in and made them the scapegoat, similar to what Black Lives Matter is being today, like a terrorist group. So I wanted to research those things and put it out there. I was able to talk to a real live Black Panther. I was able to talk to someone who went to Howard University, because, the first part of the book took place on Howard University campus, and just someone that was in that era, and Vietnam vets of all races. And after I did all of that, then I had to go back and relive that period. Everything that we call like condom was not called condoms, they were called rubbers. Just different things that, the terminology back in the day. I had to relearn that. I had to relearn the food. The most popular candy was Now Laters, squirrel nuts, and I had to know that during that time at college, girls and guys were separated by dormitories, and there was a den mother. I know it sounds crazy now, but that's how it was. So after I got all that into my mind, then I was able to write that book. And I tell people, I don't think there's another Ties That Bind in me. It was a very emotional book for me to write. It took me longer than any book that I've ever written. It took me a year to write that book. And that's writing that book consistently with no other book competing for my time. And my husband would come in the room and I would be crying. He'd say, if the book is causing you this much distress to write, why are you even writing it? I said, because there's a story to tell. Jenna and Randolph got a beautiful story, and I got to tell it. And I got to tell for people to understand how cruel J. Edgar Hoover was as the FBI director. They need to know that. They need to know that the Black Panthers were guys just trying to do right, protect their cities, protect their streets, and J. Edgar Hoover made them into a militant group, so they needed to know all of that. And so all of that is being told in Ties That Bind. And like I said, I've had gotten a lot of offers for a television made for movie and a big screen, and I turned them down because I didn't think anyone would do it justice. Now that I own my own film company, I can stream a lot of stuff. And it just so happened a young lady who works for Disney, she is a fan of mine as far as my reader, and that's her favorite book. And she will, if she produced it, she said she would do it like the book. And if you got a reader who believe in your stuff and want to make it into a movie, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Indeed.
Good deal. The next question we have, Miss Brenda, is from Josie, and her question was, do you intend to keep writing about the families that you've already created, or do you want to create other families?
Oh gosh, both. When I say both, I love, at some point I'm like, and I tell everybody, come on now, the Westmorelands are 38 books out there. And when the Outlaws end, and I got 3 more books coming out with the Outlaws, which is a branch of the Westmoreland, I have to take a serious look at, okay, how much is enough is enough? For me, enough is enough when my reader says enough. And you don't always have readers that say never. Okay. So I pretty much ended the steals. When I say ended, I will never, ever completely end a series. You will see them again in other books. And then when I think it's time for their kids to grow up, then you may see them at another point. Case in point, my last steal came out 2 books back to back, Seduced by a Steal, Claimed by a Steal. They were Mercury Steal and Ganna Steal story. But in Mercury book, I put that his best friend had hired the FBI to look for his girlfriend. And he found her, and she's in Catalina Cove. So my next Catalina Cove book, after the one I just turned in, the one that's coming out for 2022, will be their story, will be Jay from The Best Friend of a Steal. So you can't introduce Jay in a book without bringing Mercury Steal in there. So you'll get an update on how the family's doing because all the brothers are married. So you always see my characters because I cross over. Only certain books I try not to cross over, but usually we live in a world. So in my world, families kind of run into each other. They may not be kin, but they know each other by acquaintances, business, or whatever. So as long as I have families to write about, but I would love to create some new families. I got families that I am looking to create a new series. So I'm looking forward to that. So I do have 2 new families lined up, but I got to try to squeeze them in some kind of way. And so far I haven't had the slot I needed to squeeze them in because I'm forever writing for myself and for publishers on books that I owe my readers.
Indeed. Okay, so I believe Stephanie.
Yes. Good evening, Miss Brenda. We are so
Hello,
happy to have you here.
Stephanie.
Hello. My question, this question is coming from Alice. She asks, which of your upcoming books will we find out why Bart Outlaw does not want to accept the Westmorelands as family?
That will be the last Outlaw book, and that will be Charm Outlaw story. Because, there's a reason. And so I'm going down, not by age, because if I would have been by age, Jess' book would have been the second book, but I skipped Jess and went to Cash. And then I wrote Sloan. Jess' book will be the first book of 2022. And then Maverick, and then Charm. So as you read the books that I'm putting out now, I give you a little tidbit on what's going on. Everybody knows the only woman that can handle Bart is Claudia, Charm's mom, the only woman that he wanted to marry and didn't. And so he's still trying to pursue her, but she understands him and she doesn't know, but she's going to help uncover it. And like she told the brothers, when they were going to hire a private investigator to dive into what the reason, it's his reason. And when he's ready to share it, he will. So, and he will share it in the last book. Whether the readers agree with what he shared or understand why he did what he did, because Bart still is manipulating. He's still all the things you see, but there's a reason he's the way he is.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Marie?
Good evening, Miss Brenda.
Good evening.
Good evening. How long does it normally take you to write a book?
Depending on what book I'm writing. I could write a desire in 2 to 3 weeks. In fact, yes. The desire with Reggie, Westmoreland, and Olivia, Tall, Dark Westmoreland, I wrote that in 2 weeks because I knew the story in my head. And so what I did, and I was working with Adrian Bird at the time, and Adrian and I would start a book, and then we would say, okay, let's try something different in writing this book to see whether or not we can finish it earlier. So what I did was audio. While I was out and about and thoughts came to my head, I would put it on audio. And 10 minutes of audio could be 8 or 9 pages of a book. Because once I wrote it, then I would go in and do the fillers, describe anything, do the, what I call them the fillers, how did she say something, the tone, just whatever I needed to describe. So once I went and put in that moved the book forward. So because I know my characters, my book are character driven, they're not plot driven. The plot comes to me because I know my characters. So it's easier for me to write. That's why I could write 2 desires in 1 year. And if I had to, I could write 3 desires in 1 year, in addition to my Catalina Cove. Now, those are 90,000 words plus books. It takes me longer to write those because you have a more intricate plotting, even though, and I don't know the people all that well because the book is not based on the people, it's based on the town. So even though I have to know the town in itself is a character. So once I know the town and some of the people in the town, then I'm always introducing new people. It started out with Sawyer and Vashti, Bryce and Bryce and Kagan, and then Ashley and Ray. But now it's moved on. Other people is moving into the town. No kin to anybody, just people who grew up there who's moving back. So I got to get to know them like you have to get to know them. So they take longer. So those books usually take me 8 to 10 weeks to write.
Good, thank you. That book was, that question came from Donna Deloney, and we're going to slide it on down to Janice Allen.
Hello, Miss Jackson.
Hi, Janice.
This question is from Marze, and also I've got something that's along the same lines. What have been the biggest challenges you've experienced in your writing career? And have you had any personal things from your life that made a certain story difficult to write?
I'm going to take the last part of your question first. And you may have to, go back to the first one and re-ask it. But that one, the one that you just asked, the one that made it difficult to write for me was Forget Me Not. Because it was about a woman who lost her husband. But her husband didn't die of a sickness like my husband did. He died, but for 3 years, she thought he was dead. And the pain that she went through on losing her husband, I felt it in the pain. Because remember, she thought he was gone from her forever. And so I could feel her pain. And some of the things people told her was the same thing people would tell me. It's been 3 years. Well, with me now, it's going into my 8th year. But at 3 years, it seemed like that was the year people felt like you should start dating again. You should be falling in love. You need to do this, do that. So she was hearing some of the same things that I was hearing. So I was able to put all my feelings, all my emotions into that part of her life. And so, of course, when she found out her husband was not dead, he had gotten amnesia, I knew that was not the case for me, and that would never be the case for me. But I rooted for her because it was like, what if that would have been my husband? He hadn't died of cancer, that, he was somewhere. How would I handle that? And I would handle it the same way she did. I would, do a whole new love affair and let him get to know me as me, how I am now. So that book was very emotional for me to write recently. And of course, Ties That Bind was a very emotional book. Those were the two most emotional books that I think I've ever written. Now, the first part of your question again.
The first part came from Marze, and she wanted to know what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in your writing?
Oh gosh. I'm not, we went through the whole thing when we first started writing. Publishers were not ready for Black romances. That part is history. It will always be there. Once I started writing, even working full time, and I retired after 37 years with State Farm, even working full time for corporate America and writing, by the time I retired in management from State Farm, I had written 50 books. I had made the New York Times, BET had made one of my books into a movie. That wasn't a challenge for me because I was able to keep them separated. I knew at work I was Brenda Jackson, Miss Professional, Miss Corporate America. When I came home, it was a totally different story. When I went, traveled. In fact, my publisher helped promote me. Not my publisher, but my business, State Farm, helped promote me. State Farm was real big in Black expos and a lot of the HBCU's top football games. They were like the major sponsors, and I came with the package. They sent me to the colleges, to the Black expos to do book signing because I represented State Farm, for them to have someone who worked for them who had the acclaim that I had, behind my name, and then as Brenda Jackson. So they would pay my way to the Black Caucus every year to do a book signing for them. And so it was like, wow, when you could have the best of two worlds, of both worlds. So I didn't see that as a challenge. I never had writer's block, and I tell readers, I think I headed it off because Nora Roberts say writer's block is when you try to make your characters do something that's not within character. And since I know that, I stay away from that. I never had writer's block. I never had to leave the computer and come back later with thoughts. I'm forever thinking of things. So if anything, the only challenge I would think is to, right now for me, is concentration. Because so much is going on in the political world and everything. For me to zoom all that out and write about love, when you have things that's so full of hate going on in the world, you have to tune that out, cut the television off. For me, I do, and just concentrate on it. And remember, I write love, I write romance. I don't have time to deal with people hating each other because of the color of their skin and all of that, because love is universal. So that's the challenges I'm facing now, to turn it off and just concentrate on love.
Indeed. So we have the last question coming from Karen.
Hello, Miss Brenda.
Hi, Karen.
We have a question from LaRonda. She wants you to talk a little bit more about your process going from book to film and TV.
Oh gosh, book to film to TV. Well, I have made what? BET did my first, and that was a nightmare. Okay, and that was a nightmare because it was not by the book. That was my first introduction to, there's no such thing as from book to movie, where at least 80% will be the book or the movie. I was told it would be, it was not. So I was very disappointed in that. So disappointed, I swore up and down. I know I drove my husband crazy saying, I would never let anyone make another movie of my book, because he saw it and he thought it was a darn good movie. And I just looked at him like, what? Because he never read the book. When you read the book, you expect certain things. Well, he never read the book. So for him, BET did what they intended to do. It was a chick flick book, but they wanted to open it up so the men would enjoy it. And he enjoyed it because they threw a motorcycle in there, something that was not in my book. Had Sterling on a motorcycle, had a gangster in there, a bad guy, and it was not in the book. So everything that would have held his interest was in the movie. So I learned from Tom Gresham, who I met at a RWA. He said, Brenda, you're gonna have to learn that when you option your book off for a movie, because he had done the Pelican Brief and a couple of others. He said, just walk away. Whatever they do, let them do it, you know. And I'm like, yeah, that's all said and done by you, Tom, but I cannot do it. That's my baby. So he said, okay, I'm just giving you a word of advice. You know, it's not going to get easier. So I said, fine, I'll make my own. So the second book that was made into a movie, Truly Everlasting, I produced it myself. I was executive producer, came up with the money. My husband and I came up with the money. My son directed it, and it was by the book, Truly Everlasting. So when Passion Flick came along, their platform was doing the movie by the book. That was the understanding. That was their premise for the whole company. Because Tosca got upset about some of her beloved romance books being made in the movies, and it wasn't nothing like the book. So what she did, she decided to, no, I'm gonna form this company, and basically it's gonna be by the book. And to make sure it is, we're gonna put the author as a consultant on set to make sure that everything we do, they are fine with it. It's by the book. They have final approval of the script and all of that. So they auctioned all three of my Grangers. We filmed one. That we were supposed to film the second one in 2020, but the pandemic knocked that out. But that first filming was wonderful. They did not even change one word in that approved script that I approved unless they came to me. Case in point, there's a scene in the book where my heroine sings my girl to sleep, and he's singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. The hero in the book, the guy that played my hero, asked the director, can I sing something else to her, like some old romantic song that he wanted to sing by one of the new artists out there that, you know, I'm old, I'm still with Motown, never heard of. So I'm like, no, the book say Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Does he not know Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? If he know Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, he need to get in there and sing it. So he sung Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So some things I gave into, you know, but I had to approve it. So that was the best filming ever. If anyone has seen, you know, the Grangers, A Brother's Honor, they know it's by the book. And so that's what I dealt with. So that's my expectation with Passion Flick. Now, with me over my own film company with the great Bobby Smith from Jason Lyrics, Bobby knows how I am. He's doing the script for all the books of mine that will be made into movies, and hopefully they will be the same way. I know I'm gonna have to give them a little leeway, and I understand that because remember, I made the film, made a movie myself, so I know, because when you write, there's a lot of introspection, something that goes on in a person's head, their thoughts. You have to get it out there in some kind of way. You know, you can't have a cloud over their head like a comic strip telling you what they think. You have to add a scene that will do it, or add it in some other kind of way. I know that, I understand that. So I can wear the hat of an author, and I can also wear the hat of a movie producer and director, because I've been both. So, but my expectation is, I know how my readers are. So I want to bring them the best book to movie possible, but also realizing that there will be some things that will have to change. But as long as it doesn't take away from the story, I'm okay with it.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Brenda. I'm going to show this and share this for everyone to know some of
Okay.
your series. Can you all see that?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just some of the books and some of the series, the Granger series, the Protectors books, the Medeiros, the Steeles, the Westmorelands, the Catalina Cove books. So there's so many Brenda Jackson books to choose from. It's just, I mean, Tony, what number of books is she on at this? Do you know what number of book you're on right now, Brenda?
I think I'm at 148, 145, at least by the end of the year. And see, I say by the end of the year, because see, I've already written the books to the end of the year. So I don't have any books to write that's due this year, other than the one that, you know, for my own company. The one by contract, I have to write. The one that I write for my own company, and I do write 2 books a year for my own company. So what you're looking at is a 6 book a year, 4 to my publishers, 2 for myself. So the 2 that I'm writing for my own self, I squeeze them in. Because when Harlequin, you know, and I tell them, look, I need some downtime for me. What I do on my downtime is my downtime. If I want to write a book for myself, that's my downtime. You know, so as long as you get your 2 books for each year, you good. Your 4 books for desire, your 2 for desire, your 2 for Catalina Cove, you're good. Anything else I could squeeze in is my time. And that's usually what I do. Writing relaxes me.
Awesome.
So.
Tony Bonita said it's 144. And a quick question. What was from Try 10, what was the name of the book that BET made into a movie?
One Special Moment.
One Special Moment.
And I got the, you know, I'll be making that one over.
Amen.
One day I will make it over. If I ever do the the Medeiros series, and I hope one day. I've done a couple of books in the Medeiros series already. One, True Everlasting, and I'm working with Iris Bowling to do Unfinished Business. So if I ever can, you know, have enough money, and I'm hoping that I will generate money with my film company, that's one book I want to make over, one movie I want to make over, and I want to do it more closely by the book. I owe that to my readers. Sterling Hamilton and you know, Kobe, they were awesome, and that's what I want to show them, is the awesome, as awesome as they were in my book.
Indeed. Reese and Martha, you both are also Harlequin authors. Reese, would you like to pose a question to Miss Jackson, please?
Actually, it's funny because she and I just had a conversation the other day. So we talked about a lot of those things. We talked about the BET situation, and I talked to Donna Hill the other day, and she talked about her BET situation. So I'm just like, I'm loving this conversation and the honesty. So, question. I guess I would ask what's on the horizon for 2022.
Oh gosh, Reese. And only with Lisa will I even reveal this. And Lisa,
they got you an exclusive.
Yeah, only with Lisa will I reveal this, and somebody else I will. The only thing I will say is that I am going to be writing YA books. But before everybody fall in their tracks, it will not be, I don't want to confuse my, you know, the little folks by thinking, mommy, I want that Brenda Jackson book over there. You know, no, baby, you can't read Brenda Jackson. So I will use a pen name. And the name I'm going to use is Lauren Medeiros, because if anyone read Justin and Lauren book, which was my very first book, they know Lauren was a writer of children's stories. She wrote children's stories. And then she introduced the Kente Kids line of books. But I will not be developing the Kente Kids line, even though I do have a patent on them. Just in case I ever decide to do that, and the dolls. So all of that, I got copyrighted and patent. But what I plan on doing is introducing what I want to call a Black Nancy Drew. And the Black Nancy
Wow.
Drew, yeah. And the Black Nancy Drew is someone that everybody already know. Right now, she's less than 4 years old in my regular book, but it's AC Maxwell, which is Alex Maxwell's daughter. If anyone keep up with my books, the Medeiros, you know, Alex Maxwell is the brain behind anything from the second book on. That's one guy that's been in every Brenda Jackson book, because he's always the one that figure out the plot for everything. He loves working puzzles. He also married Christy, who's a reporter. So just think what kind of daughter they would have. So their daughter, who's Alexandria Christina, will be a chip off both blocks, the father and the mother. And so she will become the Black Nancy Drew. That's the one way I will describe her. But her sidekick, and I call him a sidekick, because she's only 15 in the book. So no romance, just friendship. Her sidekick in the book is Wolf Sinclair. And anyone who knows the Sinclairs, Ashton Sinclair, you know, he had triplets, you know, Brody, can't think of the first one's name, but Hunter, Brody, and Wolf. One was going to grow up to be a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. Wolf is going to one day grow up to be the Indian chief. And he's the one that inherits some of his father's powers of vision. So there is something they don't understand yet between him and Christy. They're just best friends now. But as the books get older, and if they ever age, right now I'm gonna keep both of them 15 and 17 for years. But my readers know, because their daddies come in sometime. Their daddies have already figured out that later on in life, he has chosen her as his mate, but they don't know that yet. And they won't know that for years and years and years and years to come. Remember, she's only 4 years old in the book I'm writing now. So I got plenty of time to write her as a 15-year-old before this set of books for the adults catch up for the books for the kids. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. That idea was given to me years ago by an editor at Harlequin. And I had already made up everything and submitted it to them. Then they stopped their YA line. So I filed it away and said, okay, if I ever get a chance to write this, I will. And I get so many books from my readers say, could you write about the Medeiros kids and write it in such a way that my kids can read it? Yes, so I'm finally doing that, but I'm not writing as Brenda Jackson. It will be as Lauren Medeiros.
Wow, that's awesome.
Indeed, indeed. Martha, a question for Brenda?
Hello, Miss Jackson. I'm trying not to be too much of a fangirl. But
Hi, Martha.
Hello. Quick question. So do you ever struggle with trying to give your readers what they want when they want it versus when your mind and soul and your characters is saying, no, not yet?
Not so as my readers. I know what my readers want, and I try to give them what I know they want often, because I got so many series that are everyone's favorite. Case in point, the Medeiros. The last Medeiros came out, I think, in 2017. So I felt, and I went 5 years before writing another Medeiros book, because the last one had come out in 2012 or 2013. And I'm like, okay, 5 years is too long to wait for Medeiros. But during that time, my husband passed away. I had to refocus on a lot of things. So once I got back to writing, I knew that I wanted to write a Medeiros book. And once I get started on Medeiros, because they're my first family. And that's my favorite family. Yeah, I can write about the Westmorelands, the Steeles, in all of them, but I know that I'm not going to say they're the favorite family because a lot of new readers across the board, all races prefer the Westmorelands, because I would go to book signings and I could walk in and I have 100 white women in there and 2 Black women because of where the location is. So I know they like the Westmoreland too. I love the Medeiros. So I knew it was time to do a Medeiros book. I was not supposed to do another Catalina Cove, but that was supposed to be the end of Catalina Cove after finding home again. But that book did so well. Harlequin said, we don't want you to write a Medeiros book. We want you to write a Catalina Cove book. And I'm like, no, I cannot. That's not even in my mindset to write another small town book right now. I'm sorry. My mind is not only on Medeiros, this is also on the books after the Protectors, so they wanted Catalina Cove. I wanted to go 1 or 2 other ways. I did not want a Catalina Cove book. I was not ready. My mind was not even in Catalina Cove. And I knew what my readers want. And I told them, my readers going to read what I write, but they'll be able to tell. So what we did a compromise. And this book behind me, Follow Your Heart, was that compromise. I put a Medeiros and Catalina Cove. So, I mean, I got the best of both worlds. They got what they want. They got a Catalina Cove book, and they pretty much promoting it as a Catalina Cove book. I call it a Medeiros book because all the girl is in Catalina Cove, and that's how I'm promoting it. Medeiros/Catalina Cove. I don't think they've even mentioned the word Medeiros at all in any of their promotions. That's fine. It's in mine because I know my Medeiros readers are looking for a Medeiros book. So I know what my readers want. And the same thing with Men of Action. I told them, look, I'm in the mind of guns and adventure. I'm not in small town. I want to write a book, the next Protector book. So when they decided, no, we want to write Catalina Cove, I say, fine, it'll be Medeiros Catalina Cove. I will write that book then for my readers under my own company. So you need to give, we need to null and void this contract that said you were supposed to get this book. So they did. So I wrote it for myself. I wrote Entangled Pursuits. So that book became a Brenda Jackson book, and it did extremely well, even as a book under my own company. So well, Harlequin came and asked, can we do the audio for that book? I'm like, sure.
Wow.
So they do the audio for all my books, even the ones I do under my own company, because they know they do, the books do well. So they got all my backlists, even the ones from St. Martin's. They will be doing all the audio for all my old backlists. So I'm proud of that. So yes, I know what readers want. Sometimes they may ask me to write something that it doesn't exist. I'm like, I never thought of that. Sometimes they ask me to write like Joshua Avery. They've been begging me for years. I have to feel Joshua Avery, Corinthian brother, before I write his story. I'm not ready to redeem him yet. Even though my readers think he can be redeemed, I have to believe in him. And I don't yet. So until I do, and my readers understand that. And then there are some characters they think should find love again, like Sunita's father. They think he should fall in love again. But I'm like, everybody's not ready to fall in love after they lose someone. I'm not, so he won't ever fall in love. Some people I can say, okay, I will give them a second chance at love. But me and Centel, we understand each other. He could never love a woman like he loves Sunita's mom. And I'm gonna leave it at that. He got his grandkids and he's happy with that.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda, where can we find out more about your work?
Oh, goodness. My website, www.brendajackson.net. I'm on Instagram. author Brenda Jackson fan page on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Brenda Jackson Facebook fan page. So I'm all over the place. I have an app, a free app. You could download my app. I keep it updated. If you got a smartphone, it's a free app on your smartphone. And it tells you you can order my books online from my app. You can order my books self-published as well as the ones that Harlequin do. You can get my newsletter. Anything on my website is on my app, and it's a free app. And I had that app for a long, and they got their whole world over there. A lot of readers depend on the app. They go to see what I have going on, my thought for the day. All of that is on the Brenda Jackson app.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. And
Thank you, Lisa.
We're going to hope to see you in October when we have the main Cavalcade of Authors. I mean, you've been a staple of the Cavalcade for years, and I'm hoping, of course, when we get Dubai together, they say it's too early for us to book the Dubai trip. But we are going to Dubai in November next year.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to joining you there.
Yes, we're going to have a ball. We're going to have a ball. So you can feel free to hang around. Or I know you got some writing to do, but we're going to slide it on over to my friend. Here we go. Everyone see that? Yes, Reese Ryan is in the house. So Reese, what have you been up to, and how have you handled your writing and releasing during the pandemic?
Oh, wow. It's been wild these past few months. So I've been doing a lot of writing, but just it was crazy when the pandemic first started. Definitely for me, it was very stressful, seeing those numbers going up, knowing that those were people's lives that were being lost. And I definitely had a hard time writing those first several months. So because I do have so many books scheduled for every year, that put me behind. So I've been constantly trying to catch up since then. So right now I got 2 books on deck that I need to write coming up. And then I am right now doing some revisions on my next Grand Central Forever book. So a lot's happening this year. A lot's happening this year.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're going to have Brenda, do you have a question for Reese?
Well, Reese, I am so proud of Reese. Forever seemed like I was the only African-American writing for Desire. When Rochelle Adler stopped writing, I was it. And so I am just so proud of not only Reese, but all the other Black authors that are now writing for Desire. And I've read the books. They're wonderful, well-written books. I love the covers. So, and I tell people, and Beverly Jenkins and I have said this more than once, and maybe sooner or later people will start believing us. We don't mind passing the baton. Trust me. Bev and I both celebrate birthdays in February. So we know what our ages are. So we want to just sit back and just read other authors and know that romance is alive and well, that Black love is alive and well, because authors like Reese and the others are keeping it alive and well. I want to move into something else. It may be the movies, but whatever it is, Reese, I'm very proud of you. I don't have, because of my schedule, I don't have time to be on every platform and everything. Lisa will drag you on there. She will make you have time for Lisa, okay? Which that's why I love Lisa. At least I know with Lisa, I'm gonna take a break, okay, from my writing and do something. And Lisa gonna keep me in the know. That's why she's such a beautiful person. So I want you to know, Reese, that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all the Desire authors. I don't even know when all y'all books come out, but when I hear about it, I tell my moderator of the Brenda Jackson Book Club, Make sure we're promoting this book on Monday. Make sure we're doing whatever, because it's important to me for authors that coming behind Beverly and I to know we had the struggle, okay? We were the one making ourselves known back in the 1980s and the 1990s. Not, y'all should go for it. Just ride the coattails, do whatever, go for it. And I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Okay.
No.
I
You
appreciate it.
cannot stop crying.
I
And
know,
you get
right?
us to crying. We can't all be blubbering up here.
We can't do that. No, but thank you so much. Just know that means so much to me. So thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Indeed. Oh, see, she started crying, y'all. See, that's just, you know what?
I'm good.
And I
good.
didn't do that to make
I'm
you
gonna
cry.
behave.
I wanted you to, sometimes as authors, and not just Reese, all of you who are authors sometimes you don't slow down enough to pat yourself on the back. Because I didn't and Beverly did. So whenever we saw each other, we would give each other, because we knew we had to get out there and make sure that our work was out there in their faces and whatever. But if anything, take time to pat yourself on the back. Don't feel bad when you want to give yourself credit for something, because you deserve it. You deserve the credit. When you have a new book come out, that's your book. Be proud of it. Take ownership of it. You wrote it, take ownership of it, and be proud of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And y'all are so generous with your advice and stuff too. That is what I love about y'all so much. Y'all are generous with the advice. Y'all always reach back and help other folks. And you're super honest about stuff like the BET movies. I love that. You don't try to sugarcoat anything. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I love it that she has such a strong fan base that her fans, her fans brought down the house, literally.
Yeah, they did. They did. They stopped BET. Yeah.
In their tracks. You're not gonna treat Brenda just any kind of way. And that should have shown them the power of a strong reader base, Black readers that are very protective of their authors and that love and all this, that you're just not gonna do our folks any kind of way. And
right.
I love it. Just like she stood up for the fact, Brenda stood up for the fact that when they asked her to change the characters to white, and she refused, her and some of the old, I call them the old guard, the people that first came in writing, Francis Ray and all of them, they said, no, we are not changing our characters to white. We want to put some Black love on the page. And she has been loyal. I mean, of course, she writes multicultural. So she's written some that are the chic. I'm just gonna always go back to that book because that is my absolute. Did I tell you that was my absolute favorite?
You did several times, Lisa.
Yes, but it's nice to see Black love on the page, and I'm grateful that you stuck with that because you paved the way for everyone else. Because if you had caved, then we would have been caving even now. So now we have a world that is open to us where we can write, if we want to write multicultural, other interracial, we can write that, but we can write Black love and it is well received because you have built an audience that's waiting and ready. And Deb Best says, thank you for keeping the Black love. Say, keep Black love alive.
And that's what I tell readers, especially my readers. They say, when is the next Brenda Jackson book come out? I'm like, look, there's Reese Ryan, there is this person, there that. Y'all need to go read some of their books. And then when my book come out, then I'll let you know. But in the meantime, don't sit there and wait. There are so many great books out there. Y'all missing out if y'all just sit and wait on me, because it's not just me and Bev out there. So Bev and I, we do retreats every 2 years. We go somewhere and, we just chill, and we talk. And our thing of it is that, okay, we need that time. So tell them to read other people. And so, because we're not the only one. Like you say, we're the old guard, but we're not the only guard. Okay. So, And so that's what I'm trying to do. Push them over to other people.
I love it. I love it. Martha, you have a question for Reese.
Yes, Reese, and I'm trying not to make you cry, but see, Miss Jackson, who I love, everybody knows that she is truly my queen. But
Thank you.
but Miss Reese, you right there with her, because you yourself have, for me personally, you have taken time away from your busy schedule to talk to me, to work things out, to actually read some stuff, to say, am I going the right tracks? You do that for people as well. And I know we learn those things, and that's wonderful. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
One question I did have. I know you have a lot going on, personal stuff, like, we have like, how do you find a good balance between what real life has, being in your fantasy world, family, kids, all of that, I know there are days that you want to say, okay, I need a minute. So how do you balance all of that?
So that's definitely was something I struggled with, was like finding that right balance. And I think kind of going through the pandemic helped me to kind of bring all of that back in whack, So one of the things I found is that, and I've known this for a while, that I work better early in the morning, but I also like to hang out at night, watch TV and stuff like that. So I just had to learn, okay, try to make myself a schedule where like, I want to focus on this stuff early in the day. When my husband comes home in the evening, I try to be with him and not be, because I used to be like writing so many books that I would be writing all the time. I would procrastinate a lot. So then I would end up having these deadlines where I'm like doing all these, like almost like a 24-hour day of writing, or like I'm a 16-hour day of writing. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. And then even the weekends, like during the pandemic, that's another thing I learned, like, I don't want to work on the weekends. I want to create a schedule where I don't have to work on the weekends. And so, now, like, even if I'm on a deadline, like I will sit down and try to write. And a lot of times my brain is like, nope. Or if I hear my family in the house, I want to be with them. So I'm learning to say, okay, create a schedule, work at your prime time. Because like, that's another thing I learned about myself is, when I'm working in the morning, I can get like on some days 2,000 to 4,000 words before 1 or 2 o'clock. But if I start at 2 o'clock, I can write $1,000 or 1,000 words. It's the most painful 1,000 words I've ever written in my life, So just things like that, learning what's my best time of day, what's my best mode of writing. Things like stop fighting the fact that like I always thought I was a pantser at first. And as I learned eventually I needed some kind of structure. So I needed some outline. And I find that the older I get and the more prolific I want to be, the more outlining I need to do in order to make my time more efficient. So things like that, for me, being willing to look at, okay, to re-examine what works and what doesn't, and be real with myself about what does work and what doesn't work. So those are some of the things that I've been doing to try to find that balance. Like I said, still a work in progress, but I'm definitely feeling better these last few months than I was, in the last year or so before that, where I was starting to kind of feel burned out.
Well, great advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Indeed. Janice?
Hello, Miss Ryan.
Oh, hey.
I want to ask you a question, and this is from Tony Bonita. She wants to know,
Mama Tony.
She wants to know, where did the title Waking Up Married come from?
So, for first of all,
What had happened was.
So first of all, a lot of times, like, readers might not realize that a lot of times when it comes to covers and titles, especially with a publisher, you don't have as much control. The author doesn't have as much control as they might think. So I've been really lucky with my covers and stuff. And, I've kind of worked out an arrangement where I use their system to inform them as much as possible about what my vision is for the cover. And so that's been working. So with the titles, a lot of times they'll ask you for suggestions of the titles. And I might send like 20 possible suggestions. Rarely do they ever take one of those suggestions off their list. So this was one of those times where I don't think I personally came up with that title. I don't remember them coming up with that title, but they did. But a lot of times what it is the title suggestions that I give them an idea of where I'm going. So, they'll take that, what they know about their audience and what sells and stuff, and they'll kind of combine that to come up with it. So when they came up with the title Waking Up Mary, I was like, oh my God, that is perfect. Because that is the crux of this book. That's exactly what it is. So I was super excited about that title. So they came up with the title, as far as I remember. But it is like, I can't honestly think of a more perfect title for that book.
Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. Stephanie, you gotta unmute, baby.
We're in the age of Zoom and I still forget to unmute. Sorry. Good evening.
Good
Connie
evening.
asks, whom do you trust for objective, constructive criticism of your work?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So for me, especially with working with like Harlequin, for instance, I work very well with my editor. He says it's because we're both Pisces, but we get along super, super, super well. So, I usually work with him, just I do write with what I'm writing, and then I send it to him, and then we kind of work together from there. Waking Up Mary was a little different. It was the first book that I've done for Harlequin or for a traditional publisher where I use beta readers. And I have been so happy with the feedback on this book. And I honestly don't think it's a coincidence that 3 beta readers looked at this book before, I did my final edit. So I did have 3, like I said, super readers who looked at it and I wanted their honest opinion. And so I kind of, I didn't make any huge changes, but I did use it to tweak, what I was doing. So generally, because of how quickly I'm turning books around and stuff, it's basically just me and my editor that are looking at it. But I will say that there is like a split viewpoints about whether or not authors should read reviews. And I will be honest, I do read my reviews, good and bad. And honestly, some of the best advice I got in my career was from constructive reviews early on. So, I was, I remember, as a matter of fact, one of the best pieces of advice I got, or things I learned about my writing early on in my career, was from a DNF I did not finish. But she was like really respectful in the way she wrote it. And it gave me a lot to think about. And so I was like, I really did learn a lot from that. So of course, you don't look at everything somebody says in a review, but if somebody is saying stuff consistently, I'm going to be like, okay, there's got to be something to that, So I do look at those things, and sometimes, and then I do look at feedback from readers and what have you. But generally speaking, it's just me and my editors that see it.
Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. Question here from Midnight Ace Book Bar. Will there be more of the Abbott family?
Okay, so first of all, with the Abbotts, there is one more book for sure, Cole's book, which is the final sibling who hasn't had a story yet, and that one comes out in February of 2022. And so definitely there's going to be that. But as I got toward the end of the series, I'm like, I wasn't ready to let the Abbotts go. I'm like, I'm just, and it meshes with a conversation I had with Miss Brenda the other day about never ending a series, but she just said again today. And so I was kind of glad that I made that choice. So like that series for now, there's Cole's book. He's the last, I don't want to tell too much, but let's just say we will see the Abbotts more in the future. We will see more family in the future without me giving a whole lot of detail about what's coming up next. I hope the answer was good enough for you at midnight.
Okay. Okay, so Marie. Hold on. You have to unmute.
You do know where to find me. That's right.
Sorry. Has there been a book you've written that you thought should have been received better than it actually did?
And that question came from Connie.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's funny because I would say I always, there's a lot of questions that are hard to answer or I gotta think about a lot. That's one that I do. And I always think about the second book that I wrote, Love Me Not, which is actually the only book that I've written where both the main characters are white. But that is a book that I've always felt definitely I would love to see that book get more love. Let me put it that way. So I do love that book. I mean, it's a hard story. It's a darker story. It's probably the darkest romance that I've written thus far. And it deals with some very tough issues. But I think it's a great story and has great characters. And so that would be my answer. Love Me Not from 2013.
Indeed. Shakir.
Okay. Let's see. Looks like this one is from Donna Deloney. Is it better to write a series or a standalone or individual story?
Oh, so my answer for that is 100% series. And I say that because because when I wrote my very first book, I did not, I was like, I didn't intend for it to be a series. And so when they picked it up, they actually picked it up as they picked up that book and they gave me a contract for the story for another character in the book. Well, because I didn't think in terms of a series, that person had already found her mate. So I ended up having to write that book. The events in that book happened before the first book because I wasn't thinking series. So that taught me from then on to always think series. And like I said, readers love series. So from now on, when I plan something, I always think of it in terms of series. Even if it's a standalone, I'm thinking about how I can take it further as a series. Because if that comes up, that's an option, you don't want to be kind of stuck. So like, for instance, I think about things like, okay, this family, I don't want to have an only child. I want it to be a big family, with 5 or 6 siblings. Or it should be a big group of friends or something that can connect people to make a bigger series. So yes, personally, as an author and as a reader, I love series. So I can't recommend that highly enough.
Good deal.
Thank you. This question comes from Alice Yanes. What is your next series about?
Oh, Miss Alice, you're trying to get me to tell? So, okay, so I'm just going to say that, and that's why I haven't really talked much about this new 3-book deal that I've gotten with Harlequin Desire, is because it comes after the Bourbon Brothers series. It's going to be based around a winery, and there will be some familial connection between them and the Abbots. So that's your exclusive, because I haven't been talking about that. There is some there's going to be some familial connection between them and the Abbots, but it's going to be centered around a family that owns a winery.
Indeed. I'm going to show this. And Reese, tell us where we can stay connected with you.
Sure. You can connect with me online at reeseryan.com. That's Reese with an S, ReeseRyan.com. From there, you can find everything else, which is I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those things at Reese Ryan Writes. And then you can also find my YouTube show, which is Story Behind the Story, where romance readers and authors connect. And I talk to people like I just talked to Donna Hill earlier this week, and I've talked to Miss Brenda and Miss Bev, and just all kinds of conversations about writing and bigger things around it, like diversity in small town romance or diversity in romantic suspense, things like that. So, and I was talking to Miss Delana Kai. She's going to be coming on hopefully in the near future. So lots of great topics and conversations around books.
Indeed. We're going to do a quick reset and something fun real quick. I was going to wait to do it till later, but I'd love to see the answers to this. One of these has to go. Reese, which one? Soul food, seafood, dessert, or barbecue?
Oh, that's easy for me. Seafood.
All right. Brenda?
Oh God, Reese, did you say seafood had to go?
Seafood would be the one that would go for me because I love soul food. I like barbecue. See the thing, I'm lazy when it comes to stuff like that. So I like lobster tail and crab. That's just a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'll eat it, but it's a lot of work. So that's why it has to go for me.
Okay. Well, with me, it'd be the barbecue because I love soul food. I eat seafood every day if I could. And I love my dessert, even though it doesn't love me. So barbecue. I'm a 4th of July girl. The only time I think about barbecue is on the 4th of July. Other than that, I don't have to do the ribs ever.
I'm a hot link girl myself. Turkey hot links, so I don't eat pork. Martha, which one has to go?
For me, it's honestly, it's the desserts because I like all food.
Oh,
Because see, I can get a sweet wine with my meal and I'm good.
Gotcha. That question was sponsored by Stephanie Freeman, one of the hosts tonight. So I just thought I'd throw that in there for good measure. And so now we're going to slide it on over to one of our tribe members. Hold on, let me get this going right here. Martha Kennerson is in the house. Yes, she was actually the first person. I think, well, I got a deal for myself. I got a deal with my son with Simon & Schuster. She was the 3rd person that I got a book deal for as a literary agent. And I got it with, actually it was 2 book deals that year.
Yes, 2.
Yeah, 2 book deals in the same year. So Martha Kennerson, I would love to hear, number one, your journey into writing has been a powerful one. I'd like for you to reset the stage here and give us a nice little quick brief intro into how you got started in writing and then moved into romance.
Well, for me, it all started when my oldest daughter was getting ready to go off to college. And for those who know me, know that I am a double rape survivor. And so I wanted to find a way to help my daughter, mind you, just my daughter, prepare for what she could deal with or see in those experiences when she was in college. I didn't want her to have to go and make the same mistakes I did. And let me start by really quickly saying, survivors are never at fault, period. End of discussion. However, I'm also able to say, I did put myself in difficult situation by some of the choices I made. So I didn't want my daughter to do that. So I wrote a book in a way that I thought that would help her. And it was actually after she and I had a conversation about preparing and all of this. And then I wrote this book and she loved it. And she goes, Mom, you need to really kind of put that out. So I started working, I did. Went to an event and met this wonderful woman, Elena Ka, who was a beast. And just hanging out with her for a minute allowed me to see, this could actually kind of be a thing. Because at first it literally started off with my kid getting a few books, to give to her friends, to make sure that they read it in a way that they saw the path and what could potentially happen. And actually have a feel good ending, because you didn't really, people, you can't but especially at young people, fuss at them and tell them you need to do this, do what I say, kind of a thing. So I kind of wrapped that tragic moment into a storyline that actually blossomed into an ultimate love story, which people seemed to enjoy. And after that, I knew I wanted to write about love, and the therapist, all the ones that I dealt with that helped me survive, they were like, hey, this was your prolific moment. You've got that out of your system. Now, right, you should really pursue this. And then once I met Lisa, who is a beast of an editor also, not only is she a great agent, she actually helped me find and perfect my voice. So once I did, it's just been kind of full speed ahead. And I'm already a junkie. I don't know if y'all can see in the back. I mean, Brenda, I can't tell you how many of your books I have. I have all these of Reese. And I literally have 400, and I counted them over the last couple of weekends, 450 books. And when I retire, eventually, I'll get around to reading all of them. Wow. So that's kind of how my story kind of got started.
Awesome. What has been your best Harlequin moment?
When my first book came out, Protecting the Heiress, and at this moment, I can't even remember the book club we were at. We were out of town. It might have been a cavalcade, actually, now I think about it. Brenda Jackson was there. we were sitting at a table, and the Brenda, the woman who leads your fan club, she and I were talking about my book, and Brenda was there, and she made a comment, and I looked and I said, "Oh, have you read my book? You know about my book?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "You know, the one, they're triplets. They go after people with bow and arrows." And when I tell you, I almost fell out of my chair. I literally thought I was going to lose my mind. I was trying to stay calm. My hands were on the table. They were literally shaking. That was absolutely the proudest moment of my life. No matter how well it did or anything like that, it was when Brenda Jackson knew who I was, knew about my book, and quoted it back to me. I was like, all right, I can die a happy woman now.
Indeed,
I was very happy.
Indeed. So you have the 3 series, the triplets, and then you have 3 others. The bride something. Tell us a little bit. I know. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, okay. I have, and I'll be honest. I try not to say I don't have any favorites really, because I love all my characters. But the Blake sisters, my first series, they were the most fun to write. They really, really were. I had a ball writing them. But the Kingsleys, I enjoyed writing about them too, especially because their matriarch, their mother, who people keep asking me, am I going to tell her story? And I think I will, because she is a beast, and she ran that family, you know, but in a loving way. But you know, she always got that respect, and I love that about her. And I learned also from Miss Jackson, and I know this is not the Miss Jackson hour, but my characters are in every single book. I mean, they kind of cross over. They know everybody. They are even in the things I did independently, a manuscript I'm writing now. I mean, I just feel like that's the way it's supposed to be. So.
Indeed. Janice has a question to pose to you.
Hello, Martha.
Hello, Miss Janice.
You went from self-published author to being picked up by a major house. So what are you aspiring to next?
I want to do a little bit of everything. I'd love to have to be with a house as well, but I'm going to follow in Miss Brenda and Miss Reese footsteps. I'm going to have my hand in every corner where I can get these stories out, because I have a lot to tell, you know, and life unfortunately kind of steps in and make you stop for a minute because of whatever the issue's going on, but it doesn't stop these characters from waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or when you're driving down the street talking to you, literally where I have to pull over. And I know people look at me like I'm crazy, because I'm like doing like, okay, kind of a thing. So whatever avenue I can get down and get the stories out, that's what I'm going to pursue.
Indeed. So you are a member of the tribe.
Yes.
What has that been like for you?
You know, there's a lot been going on with me personally, and this group of writers are absolutely amazing. These individuals come to your aid no matter what. And there are times where, first of all, if anybody who's been with Lisa for a number of years or know how, and even Janice with their writing style, their editing style, they don't tell you your story. They definitely will ask questions, or will like say, hey, what do you think about this, and this? Or, you know, remember, or as Lisa would say, she'll circle something and say, not again, kind of a thing. And that's very helpful. In our tribe, you have people that are great editors. You have people that are very prolific with their thought process. You have people that will be beta readers for you. You have people that you can just call when my mom died a couple of years ago and I was broken. I was absolutely broken, but I also had some stuff I had to get out that I couldn't physically finish. A tribe member stepped up and said, send me your work and I will finish the dictation part of it. You see what I'm saying? And these people I trust to hand over, you know, my baby to, and say, okay, here you go, to help me get through it. A whole lot of other things, health issues. These folks are always there. And our leader, Lisa, She has been absolutely amazing. She will kick your butt if you need a kick. She's going to be that shoulder that you need to cry on. She's going to be your biggest cheerleader. And she's also going to be that person to say, you know what, maybe you need to step back for a minute. Maybe you need to kind of regroup a little bit. She's going to be all those things to you. And she has your best interest at heart. But Lisa's not the only one that will do those things for you. So, I mean, it's been the best experience I have had in a long time. So thank you for that.
And it's been an honor to know you. And she believed in me before I even knew who this woman was. We were at an event where it was 25 authors and 3 readers.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
She saw me make grape juice out of lemons, because I mean, it was right leading up to the Essence Festival. And I'm like, I am not going home with these books. It was my books and my son's books. And I tell you, I parked it in the lobby of the hotel and I sold out of those books. And she said, I don't know who you are. She said, but I'm rolling with you. She went downstairs and she paid her fee to become part of the Cavalcade. And we've been rolling ever since. She's been through the first tribe, which was Macro Literary All-Stars. And then she's come through the new tribe, and just been amazing to have that person that has that trust and that faith, you know, and she grows by leaps and bounds. And she is the tribe sensuality expert. So when almost every book, it's her and Shakir, who was on here. If we need a little heat, we send the book to them, the manuscript to them, for them to look over that section. We also send to Stephanie if we need a little darkness, because there's 2 people in the tribe you don't want to piss off. Stephanie and Karen. Karen does our suspense stuff, and just really each person in the tribe has their expertise, and we use them for each and every manuscript that goes through, because they can help add that little element or say, no, you need to consider this or need to take out that. So yes, it's been my honor and privilege. So are there any questions for Martha from people on the panel? Hey, Kathy, there's Kathy Douglas on the line. I need to ask you, Kathy, we put up there one gotta go. What was the one that had to go for you?
I'm going to join Mark and say dessert. Dessert had to go. I can live without. I can live without cake, pie, ice cream, but I need all the rest of everything else you had.
What is wrong with y'all? I don't understand that.
You got wine, Lisa. There's lots of sweet wine. It's cool.
It's like Moscato.
Yeah,
all right. Lisa, which one has to go for you? Did you need to see the choices? This is Lisa Dodson. She's another Harlequin author coming in. Which one has to go? Soul food, seafood, dessert, and barbecue?
Oof. I'm going to say, oh, wow. Okay. Barbecue.
Uh-oh.
Barbecue?
I'm okay. I can't deal without sweets, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to work on that. I gave it up for 35 and a half of the 40 days of Lent. I ain't even Catholic, but it was like, oh.
Oh.
I hear you. So Martha, we thank you. Let me show these. How can we keep up with you?
Well, I'm on social media as well. So you guys can reach me on Facebook, on Instagram, marthakennerson.com. So, and I love to hear from everybody. I love hearing from readers and potential writers and all of that. So it's wonderful. And I'm at Kennerson Books on all social media.
Indeed. Let's see here. Did we get all the questions here?
Yeah, I think we got I think it was just one comment, if I recall. Yeah, this one came from
Hey,
from
Jay,
Mama
I'm
Tony.
kicking you out of the room. Soul food? Really? Seriously? Yeah, I'm kicking you out of the room. That's just
They got jokes tonight.
I know.
I've got one. Yeah, I've got one from Mama Tony. She says she remembers reading from choice at Romance Slam Jam in Milwaukee.
And author Donna Delaney said, I'm so excited to discover new authors and books. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Donna. She comes from Clubhouse. I'm just saying, that's my Clubhouse work, you know. I like dessert, and I'm from a barbecue capital. What's the barbecue capital, y'all?
Uh-oh, here we go.
The Kansas City?
Chicago.
Oh, no. Look,
Chicago?
we got Kansas City folks that'll say they are. Then you got Memphis folks that'll say they are. You got anybody in Texas that'll tell you that they are. So you're gonna have to be a little more specific on that.
I know, right? Okay, so one more. Let's see what y'all gonna go with this one. One gotta go.
Oh,
That's easy.
I might say all of them.
Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms definitely is gonna be the one to go.
Lucky Charms?
That's easy.
Yeah, because I'm gonna disown anybody who says Frosted Flakes. I'm disowning you.
Oh,
Oh, good Lord.
I'm like,
Honestly,
they're
the
great.
only one I really want is the Fruity Pebbles. Everything else can go. But
Well, I've never even had two of them, so I don't know.
yeah.
Fruity Pebbles never held up in milk. You pour the milk on, you go get a spoon, and it's over. It's a wrap.
but that's the beauty of it. Just like the chocolate ones, like they turn the milk into
Oh goodness.
Okay,
Yeah. The
for the
cocoa
Frosted Flakes lovers, we're the Frosted Flakes lovers. Have y'all ever noticed this? You be eating the Frosted Flakes, then you run out of cereal, so you add more cereal. Then you run out of milk, so you add more milk, and it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, very vicious.
Very, very vicious.
That's a general cereal thing, period.
Okay, I don't feel bad then.
That's very true. It's like you have to eat it real fast.
No, readers, we want to hear from you. Which one of those have to go? Let's see what the readers say. Let's share the screen again. Which ones have to go? What are they saying, y'all?
Somebody said Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms.
Marshmallows and
Lucky
Somebody saying
Charms.
Lucky Charms. I'm saying Fruity Pebbles too.
It's mostly Fruity Pebbles and Lucky Charms.
All right, so the staples are Frosted Flakes and Honey Nuts, so y'all can roll with us. We'll let y'all stay in. Okay, we'll stay in. Martha, thank you. Brenda, thank you. If you guys need to slip into the backyard, or you guys can stay because this isn't long, we're just rolling it. And this Cavalcade Spring Fling, it was just something to keep us connected to the readers. We were supposed to be at the Black Women's Expo. The tribe was doing the literary cafe, and they shifted it to August. And truthfully, between me, you, and the lamppost, I just think it's too soon for us to be going to events that bring out 20,000 to 30,000 people in one space, with some people being vaccinated and some not, some people just getting over. I just think this year we need to kind of sit out on doing big events, but they shifted it to August. They shifted the Book Lovers Con to December. That's kind of more like it. But for the Cavalcade, I am going to do Dubai next year. We've tried 2 years in a row to do the Bahamas, and we've already done the Bahamas. We're going to Dubai because we have a whole series, the Knights of the Castle, set in Durabia, which is a fictitious Dubai. So I'm just saying, I'm ready to rock and roll. I went there a year and a half ago, and it was an amazing trip. So y'all ready to pack your bags? And I will tell you, you guys are going to be better prepared than I was. You need to bring an extra suitcase. The scarves like these, about $5 each. You will come back with a suitcase just with pashminas and scarves. And it was like, I should have just put about 20 on and just sat in the plane like this. They had such beautiful things, and they have like borders there. And that's my dream. When I said that I'm coming back, I'm going to sign in that store in Dubai. So with the tribe and Brenda. Brenda, you tribe too. So everybody, tribe, we all going to Dubai.
Oh, yes. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes.
So we're going to slide it on over to, hold on. Let me bring it up. Let me get the cereal out the way. It is all soggy cereal. It's been up on the screen too long. It's already soggy. I'm just saying. Here we go. Kathy Douglas is in the house. Yes, indeed. Kathy, tell us a little bit about you, because now we know of Cavalcade people know Kathy because you've done a couple of cavalcades, you've been to the events, but there's a lot of people who are at this event today that came from Clubhouse, and they don't know some of the people that are on here. Now we love to think everybody knows Brenda, but more audience, more people. And I just want everybody to know Martha, Reese, Lisa, also, well, Kathy, tell us a little about you and your writing journey.
Okay, well, I started writing when my sons were in preschool. They were being schooled for 2.5 hours a day. And that gave me some time to write. At first I was reading old Harlequins and I was like, oh, I can write this. Uh-huh. So I caught myself writing some. And this was back in the day when you actually had to mail it in. So I would mail my manuscript in and then I would get my rejection letter like a week later because it was bad. I'm gonna just be honest, I was not a good writer, but I kept on writing. And then, well, you know Eric, who knows Lisa, who knows Janice. And so my friend Eric asked, can you help Kathleen? She's trying to get into Harlequin and she's just having some issues. Can you all look at her stuff? And so they're like, okay, Eric, your friend is our friend, which I appreciate. And they ended up, you know, giving me some advice. I made a little bit of tweaks and I sent my book in to Harlequin Special Edition. And the editor, who is also Reese's editor, liked it. And he was like, oh, this is great. And I sent in, but you know, then it was taking a long time. So I was like, okay, what should I do? He said, well, keep writing. So I wrote another book and he read that one too. He's like, this is great, but we still haven't heard from the senior editor. So I had my third book. I kept writing, sent it in, and finally heard back from the senior editor 22 months later. For those of you all who, I ain't kidding, it was taking a long time. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Let me just have my book back. Because maybe she doesn't love it as much as you, because he was like, I love this book, it's great, it's gonna be wonderful. But you know, month after month after month kept happening. So I finally said, just give me my book back. You know, I said, it's been 22 months. Well, he hadn't realized how long it had been because he'd been editing other things. He said, you know what, give me a week. So a week later, he sent me an email, I'm gonna call you on Monday, which I figured, well, he wasn't gonna call me with bad news. So he called and he's like, we want to offer you a 3-book contract. And I was like, hey. And that was, I think it was 2016 when I actually signed. The books came out in 2017. I told myself I was never going to be one of those people who couldn't keep the date straight because I was so excited about it. But apparently I am one of those people who can't keep the date straight. Because I promise you, I had to look to see, when did this book come out? And I didn't think that was ever going to be me. I thought it was going to be indelible in my mind, but it's not. But it came out in February of 2017, which was How to Steal the Lawman's Heart. And since then, I've written 11 more books with Harlequin, plus an online read. So I've been going ever since, and I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying it.
Indeed, and I'd like to acknowledge, number one, for people who don't know, Lisa is my real name. Nalena Kai is my pen name. So folks have been putting up, been just telling all my business, but it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Like, who is, no, it's not just you, everybody. I'm just saying. But I'd really like for you to know, the one who looked over your book, that for that chapter, she's right there. That's Janice Allen.
That's right, it was Janice. Hey,
Yes,
Janice, thank you.
Allen.
And she was very great to me. I you know, and even though I'm not in the like officially in the tribe, I have to say, she spent time with me. She told me, this is, you know, here's some things you might want to consider this. Just like Martha was saying, really in a kind way, saying, you know, try this. How about a little bit of this? And it worked.
Yeah, because you had sent it in how many times before then?
Well, I had only sent it in, I had sent in other books. Okay. That were being rejected for various reasons. The first one was just because they were bad. I mean, there's no two ways around it. They were just, I wrote as a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, so I wrote as a lawyer. And there was not very much emotion in it because there is no emotion in writing a law. You're trying to win. Mm-hmm. So my books were very legalistic. I was forming work as a lawyer would. So then later on, I was, you know, reading more and getting better. But with Janice, helped me to put it all together in a sense. So the book that I sent in that was accepted, she had seen it first. He hadn't seen it at that point. But once, you know, when I sent it in, then he was like, oh, well, send me the rest of the book because you sent the first 3 chapters. And then it was like, oh, this is good. I like it. And then it kind of languished for a while, waiting to hear back from the senior editor, because she had her own books to read too. It's not like I was the only book around.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
I think Janice kind of stole my question, so I'm gonna steal it right back. Janice, the question that Janice, well, that's basically Janice and I both have at this particular point, and I've actually got to find it now because it's really throwing me off.
That's what you get for trying to steal.
Whatever. I'm still gonna steal the question back. Do you have a favorite book or a favorite character from a book?
Those are my questions.
With the book I'm always writing, each book gets a chance to be my favorite, because when I'm writing them, I'm madly in love with those characters. And then when I start the new book, I'm over the people who I just finished. But the character I really loved the most was Charlotte Shields in Winning Charlotte Back. I loved her. There was something about her. She wasn't especially nice. She was very direct, which I guess is kind of like, I think I'm nice, but I'm also direct. And I just loved her. She was like my favorite character, and she's still my favorite character.
So Lisa, you have a question for Kathy.
I actually did post it. Mr. Shakir there took my question, so I'm going to ask the other question. My other question was, Kathy, is there a line in Harlequin that you haven't written for, but that really kind of you would like to try to write in, or something that grabs your attention in a different line and you're like, maybe?
Well, I like, I know I can't write like Desire, because my books are totally closed door. I read them and I'd be like, fanning myself because they're hot. But I think a part of me would like to do like suspense, just to kind of, I don't know how I would pull it off, but I would love to write like a suspense book and have like, there'd be like criminals and, people doing dirt in there and finding out, like, a Deborah Mello book, and I would like to do something like that.
Nice.
And I don't know.
Wow. Okay. So I'm looking at them fussing at each other in the chat here. So Martha, did you have a question? Did you pose your question to Kathy?
I do. Hello, Kathy.
Hello, Martha.
So let me ask, I know you do Harlequin and you do them very well.
Okay.
Are you considering doing some not other lines, but maybe doing some things on your own? Or do you prefer the structure that Harlequin provides, it can be good and bad. So that's why I think a lot of people have a tendency to have, they like the Harlequin way, and I'm one of them. But it's nice to also have the opportunity to kind of do your own thing, some other freedom, maybe doing something independently, or maybe, with another house or whatever. Is that something you've ever considered?
Well, I do like the knowing that all I have to do is write the book, and that somebody else is going to edit it and come up with a cover and all of that and do the distribution. I do like that. And so I would like to, at some point, do single title. Still small town, because I love small town. And if it was with a Harlequin, that would be great. If it was with someone else, that would be great too. I don't know that I would do something on my own, like self-published, simply because I know people who do it and they know what they are doing. It's a system that I don't understand fully, and I don't know that right now I have the skills to pull it off. But I can see myself going somewhere else. And would I self-publish down the line? Maybe. But I know that's like a whole, I respect the people who have those abilities and that skill. I don't know that right now I know I don't have it. Can I acquire them? I hope so, but I don't know.
Indeed, indeed. Marie.
This question is from Juanita. Do you use people you know as characters for your books?
I have not. Now, there are sometimes characters may say something, that someone that I know has said, like sometimes, like there was one in my first book, he was a mechanic, and no, he was in the second book, and he referred to his daughter's playpen as Attica. Well, my brother used to do that when his kids were little and they were running all over the house. He'd be like, well, time to go to Attica. And he'd pick them up and put them in a playpen. Well, that stuck with me because I thought it was kind of funny. So things that people say every once in a while, or something my parents used to say growing up. Sometimes the parents in the book, one of my hero and heroines, parents might say something like that my parents used to say, but not real people know.
Shakir.
Okay, I've got this one from Donna Delaney. Kathy, which book would you say best introduces new readers to you?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Well, I would say any of my sweethearts. I guess I would say either the last or the first.
Okay.
And the first because it's the first in the series and you meet everybody. And then the last one that I wrote, you see a lot of the people in the books too.
Okay.
Indeed. Stephanie.
Yes, good evening, Kathy. Glad you're here with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Alice James had a question. Well, it was more of a comment. She said, I became aware of Kathy Douglas's books through other authors who send you the emails and give you the opportunity to choose to receive information from another author. I have read so many authors through this communication form, and I also like winning Charlotte back.
Oh, thank you. Oh, can I just say Winning Charlotte Back was my favorite book? Did I say that already? Well, she was my favorite heroine, and it is my favorite book.
Okay, thank you.
Indeed. Janice?
Yes, hello, Kathy.
Hey, Janice.
This is a question from Michelle. She wants to know about your writing process, and she wants to know what inspires you.
Okay, my process, it seems to change with every book, but what I try to do is get up in the morning, let the dog out and all of that. Then sit down and I try to make myself do some social media. But when it comes to writing, I just like open up the document and I set a timer so that because I used to just try to write, but I found that my mind would wander. But if I say, okay, you got 30 minutes, and in this 30 minutes, we're going to try to get 1,000 words or 750. And then I just write. And I am a pantser. I outline only as much as I need to in order to sell the book to the publisher. Like some people do really detailed lines. I don't. And then I just sit down and write it out. I try to do about 4,000 words a day, but sometimes, or it's 4,000 words or until I get a headache. Because if I'm pressing, I get a headache and I'm like, okay, we're done. And then I'll just be like, okay, but you did 3,700, so tomorrow you owe 300 words. But generally in 4,000 or a headache, and then I'm done. And I'm not one of those, I used to like just keep going, but if I can get 4,000 in, that's it. I'm like, yay, me.
I know, wow. 4,000 or a headache.
Yep.
But you did answer a question that the world was always asking. What was that group that asked me? Who let the dogs out? Who?
Oh yeah, that would be me. First thing in the morning, let the dogs out.
Let the dogs out. So Martha, can you hear me?
I can.
Mm-hmm. Your question?
I asked her, do I get to ask her another question?
Yes, check your text.
My text to ask her another one? Okay, not a problem. I didn't check it, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy, I love the fact that you speak to your process, because that did kind of pose a question, because obviously writers do everything a little bit differently. Now, and this is the part you said, but I wasn't sure if I understood it. Now, do you write your story longhand and then type it, dictate it, or do you literally just sit in front of your computer and just go for it?
I just type it out. I just sit down, and the hardest part for me is actually the beginning of the book, because, and that's the part when I end up sending that to my editor, because now it's just like send the first chapter. And if I'm starting in the wrong place, he'll say, nah, this is the wrong spot. We need to start earlier or later or whatever. But once that's done, it seems to flow more easily, and I just type straight through. I don't edit as I go along. I just type it straight out of my head, and I try not to. I tell myself, because it has to be 60,000 words now, to stop. Try to end at 58,000, because nobody has it. They're just words. I don't have any clothes. The people aren't in any setting, and I know I got words that I need to fill back in, and I can't go over the word count, which I always do.
Gotcha. I do have another quick question. I'm sorry, Lisa. One more thing here. It's from Lucille Freeman. Does your experience, which is a great question, I think, does your experience as a lawyer ever surface in your writing?
No, I don't write lawyers. I have never written a lawyer, because I mean, if you know what lawyers really do, is like boring. You know, you know what I mean? I always say when I was a lawyer, you read, you write, you talk on the phone. That's basically what you do. And you know, you may go to court, which I did some arbitration, but it's nothing especially exciting about it to me. So no, I never write lawyers.
Yes, as two people who work for lawyers, what is that, Janice? Yeah.
What do they do all day, Janice? Read, write, talk on the phone, right?
Yep, that's about it. Reese, do you have a question for Kathy?
I do. So like you said, you would never want to write a desire because they're super hot, and you write closed door, which I have to say, I usually don't read closed door, but I love Kathy Douglas, and like anything she writes is I'm all over it, and I'm always shouting her out. So do you think you would ever try to write for like Hallmark Channel? Because that's their jam, you know, that kind of sweet love story that has a closed door.
Well, I know, doesn't Lacey Baker write some for them now? The Harlequin? I mean,
which that's AC author.
Yeah, I know. I know. Because see, I was using her,
I mean, for anybody else
pseudonym. I was using her pseudonym. Yeah, AC Arthur. I might try, but I'm not. See, I don't know anything about what their guidelines are, but yeah, I can see trying that, especially if they wanted to make it into a movie later, as long as I didn't have that whole BET issue going on.
Until we,
because I always think about it, because that's one of my big things. We watch a lot of Hallmark, but I've been like fighting for years, like we want to see some diversity, and we have been seeing more diversity on Hallmark. So I'm always looking at, okay, people who write like that, you need to pitch them something, because
and they have to be willing for the people to be Black. They have to be willing for my people to be Black. I'm not going to change.
And absolutely, for sure. Yeah, and we've been seeing we've been seeing more of that in recent years, especially the holiday movie line. It's been super diverse in for Hallmark and Lifetime. So I'm like, yeah, make sure my folks is putting their stuff out there. But I would love to see a Kathy Douglas movie.
So would I. So then I guess the answer to that is yes. I'm focus on Hallmark, that they will be hearing from me.
And I don't watch Hallmark. That's the funniest thing. And the truth be told, as much as I know there's a market for that clean romance and closed door stuff, I want some sex in the page. That's why I'm reading Martha. Martha gives me that heat. I'm just saying, you got to realize there's a lot of women who are kind of like, they're not in a relationship. We get it on, we want to see it on the page. And just because I'm not getting none, we want to get some. I'm joking.
Well, you know, and I will read it. I do read it because I think I got all the Reese's, and I got Martha too. And you know what I mean? I got Naima Simone. I got the books and I read them. It just doesn't come out of it doesn't come on my pages, but I do read them.
I see a lot of authors say that, like, who say, you know, I love, you know, I read it all the time, but just I'm not comfortable. Like, you know, Miss Brenda talked about earlier about writing what you're comfortable with, even in terms of terminology and stuff. It's certain words I'm not comfortable, you know, on the page, use it. It's something that I've become more comfortable with in recent years. So just whatever works for you, because I do feel like when somebody tries to write something or do something that they're not comfortable with, that comes through.
Shows.
That
Yeah, you
comes
can
through. You
tell.
can see that. So like find what you're good at, find where you fit, and just knock that out the park. So and that's what you do. So I love it.
Your books are very good, Kathy. Very, very good, very sweet. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll be going, oh, but if she would just.
Hey, right. My whole thing is they just trying to keep that freakiness under, they don't know the word. They just trying to keep that freakiness under wraps. That's all it is. Lisa, I'd like for you to chime in on that because you're shifting over to writing clean romance as well. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I've pretty much written the steamy stuff. I've written in the middle. I'm now doing all clean romances, romantic suspense. So I find that it's just a matter of where you are in your journey. I started with the heat, and for the Harlequin novels that I wrote, it was like more heat, the better. And so I, kicked it up where I could, but I always thought in the back of my head, ooh, I got to make sure my mom is reading this. In case my mom reads it, I can't get crazy. But yeah, I enjoy writing both. And I must admit, I am a Harlequin Hallmark junkie. So I'm just going to go sit over here in the corner because I love me some Hallmark. Yes.
After one or two of them, I'm like, okay, and
I'm a hopeless romantic. Just give me a romantic story with a happy end and I'm good.
Okay, and
and not too much stress. I don't want to stress.
Yes,
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. But that's the thing though with Kathy's. Kathy's is not like with Harlequin, with Hallmark, the whole movie you work up to that one kiss at the end. Kathy's is not like that. It's happening. It's just behind closed doors.
Yeah.
It's private. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So I can probably get with that. I can get with that. But there's somebody here, Patricia Woodside said, that's me. I love reading it. Martha is a favorite, and I just downloaded a Reese book, but I can't write the heat. Kathy is new to me. I will definitely be checking her out. And then author Donna Deloney said, ditto what Patricia said. I love to read it, but I can't write it. There must be something wrong with me and you, Shakira. I'm just saying, Stephanie.
Man, listen,
we're filling out numbers here.
I love my heat. I love to read it. I love to write it. I'm with y'all. As a matter of fact,
look. As far as I'm concerned, no. I mean, yeah, y'all can have a clean romance. I head out. That's not gonna work for me. No, sorry.
Put Prince on the ceiling.
That part.
Ceiling. Woo!
Yes.
I know that's right. Okay.
Did you just say footprints on the ceiling?
Windshield. It doesn't matter. Either one, ceiling or windshield,
Windshield. Oh Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, car sex.
Yes, Stephanie.
Car sex. No.
And there you have it.
Wait. Skinny folks can do car sex. Big folks, I'm sorry. Well, we cannot put all four cheeks in a couple of chins and wrap it around the gear shift. No, we're not trying to do that. So
I mean, that's not entirely true unless you have an escalator.
It depends on the size of the car. I'm like that.
Depends on the size of the car. All right, no, we ain't talking about no back or nothing like that. Give me a nice little escalator, I'm good to go.
Boom shakalaka. There you go.
Oh Lord. Okay, here we go. Kathy, one gotta go.
Is that like a cinnamon roll type of thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that can go.
Okay, Martha.
Almighty. See, I was with you until you said that. Dang, I mean,
For me, the French toast gotta go.
Oh, I make a killer French toast. Reese.
it's definitely, I love all of those, but it's got to be the cinnamon roll because I'm all about the waffles. As a matter of fact, I picked my hotel by the hotels that had the fresh waffle thing where you can make your own waffles with a waffle iron.
Yes.
That's how I decide which hotel to stay at.
me and you gonna fight, Reese. I already see this now.
Oh my God, Lisa.
I never tire of pancakes, so I'm gonna say B. Cinnamon gotta go. And I love cinnamon rolls.
Man, y'all don't get that French toast up out my face, I swear.
You ever had stuffed French toast?
That's my brother. That's right.
Martha.
Stuffed French toast.
Martha, did we get your vote in?
Yes. B, gotta go. I mean, French toast. Hey, gotta go.
Okay,
French
so
toast. There you go.
Janice.
I say C, the waffles, because I love waffles, but those look like those hard Eggos. So no, C.
What? No, those are the nice Belgian waffles. They look all nice and soft. And
Okay.
Marie, which one gotta go?
The cinnamon roll has to go.
Oh my God.
B, gotta
Yeah,
go.
we gonna be some
Okay.
fighting folk up here tonight.
I know, right? And especially it's hot. Oh my God, it's heated up. Fresh. Wait, okay, readers, tell us which one has to go. You put it in the chat for us. Earl, which one has to go?
pancakes, what?
Did he
Oh,
say
heck
pancakes?
no.
I want to know who
Somebody
said
said
pancakes. That's a
pancakes.
no.
Oh my God. I went and saw my mom today. And she's at the first time I laid eyes on her in a year since the pandemic. They did a compassion care visit, and I bought 2 dozen donuts from Old Fashioned here in Chicago. If you ever come to Chicago, you got to hit Old Fashioned in Roseland, right? So I bought my mom with frosted croissants, and I had her to eat one there, and I was going to have her to say one later. Let me tell you, my mom has dementia, but she was slick enough that when I went to go find some magazines for her, she had polished off that second one. She was supposed to hold it for the next day. I said, Mom, you weren't supposed to eat that. She said, eat what? Indeed.
Oh,
Oh my God, it was so
It's like it's a cross between French toast and cinnamon rolls getting kicked to the curb.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Hold on, let's do one more.
Now I do have to make an exception. If that cinnamon roll was from Cinnabon, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. Then the French toast gotta
You
go.
know for me.
Okay, so here we go. Here's another one. Let's see what y'all got on this one. Which one gotta go?
Oh, see,
Oh,
y'all.
man.
Yeah,
Oh,
bro.
wow. Oh, wow.
That's from Terry Johnson. She is a tribe member. So
Yeah, she good for these, boy. I think I'm
know.
gonna head out.
I know. Kathy, which one gotta go?
Oh, okay, see, this is, I'll say E, because I got to keep
Thank
it.
Thank you.
There's
If
no
I-
E.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
you gotta
If I-
choose one.
Okay, then I'm a.
Oh.
Okay, then I'm gonna go with brown sugar then.
No!
Okay, but Reese, what you getting rid of, Reese?
We.
Okay, see, I'm at risk of having my black card taken right now because I
Don't
have
do
not
it.
seen just. I have not seen just right.
Right.
No, I saw just right. I have not seen just right. I saw all the rest of them. I love all the rest of them. I have not seen just right.
It was cute though. You gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Oh,
It's
like
good. It's good.
So she's gonna say just like Lisa.
Brown sugar.
Oh,
No.
Marie.
D,
Oh no! That
Love
scene
and Bas-
where he was like, he ain't cooked
basketball.
for you. Did you see him cook for you? That's my favorite scene.
Wait,
Oh
wait.
my God.
Marie said love and basketball. Okay. Martha.
No, I love them all. I really did. But I can honestly say Just Right just wasn't as good to me as all the others. So
No.
I can get rid. This is an easy one for me.
Okay.
Mm.
So Stephanie. Did we-
I've only seen The Best Man. The other ones I've never seen before.
Okay, so we're gonna take your
We're
card.
gonna take your black card.
Yes. Put it in the mail tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just discovered Friday. So Lisa turned me on to Friday.
Yeah,
Harlem
we've been trying to catch her up, okay? We've been trying to catch her
wow.
up.
Oh,
Okay.
stick
It's
me
pretty
with a
bad.
fork because I'm done.
Earl, which one you get? Which one has to go?
Sweet baby
Wow.
Jesus.
Well, I'm afraid my black card may be revoked as well because I have not seen Just Right or Brown Sugar.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I have not seen. I saw The Best Man and Love and Basketball, but I'm just going to say, just based on looks, I would get rid of Brown Sugar.
Ooh. Wait. You don't have to get rid of the whole.
But it's about hip hop.
Wait. You can cut it in half and can't use it no more.
I'll
Okay.
go watch Wait and Exhale when I hang up.
Janice, which one had to go?
Brown sugar, because I've seen all of them, and all of them I can think of different scenes when I'm looking at those snapshots. But brown sugar, I can't remember. There's nothing memorable to it.
Oh my
Yeah, like-
goodness.
Y'all killing Reese.
Like,
Oh my God.
Oh, Reese, I'm sorry.
Reese about to fall over.
Okay,
have the
readers,
whole
readers,
fit
tell
right
us what you think. Wait a minute, Marze said, clutching my pearls and gasping. Oh my God! Like, and then Lakeisha says, the shame of it all.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my God.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Look at everybody. What is most people saying here?
I think it was between
Just right.
between Just Right
That's
and Brown
right.
Sugar.
Right. Like,
I kind of like that one. I don't. That's.
I mean, it depends. It depends on who you ask. I mean, there's some that felt like, there was no real chemistry between the two of them, and then there was some that was like, it still worked out, that type of thing. As far as that was for me as a baller, everything stays except for Brown Sugar because it's just me as a sports fan.
Did they have Love Jones on there?
No,
No.
Love Jones was on one. No.
Love
That'd have
Jones.
been a whole fight.
No, and I am
Not a whole
of
fight.
losing my black card again because I own that movie, but I have not seen it yet. So.
Oh, see, wait a minute. How you gonna act a fool about Brown Sugar, but you ain't gonna have this kind of?
I bought it. I haven't. I just haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry.
Look, you might well put the video, put the DVD out now wherever you got it. Go watch it tonight. I don't want to hear nothing else.
Okay. Weekend it's going this weekend. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Okay. So we're bringing somebody else to the stage really quickly. Kathy, where can we stay connected with you?
My website is kathydouglasbooks.com. And there you'll find links to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm also on BookBub as Kathy Douglas, and you can find me there.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. We're going to introduce.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me put this here. This is Earl Sewell, and then we also have Lisa Dodson. So we're going to be bouncing between the both of them so we can respect everyone's time. Earl Sewell, he writes for a different, not department, subsidiary or imprint of Kamani Harlequin, which was the YA. So he's the YA voice of things. Mm-hmm. And we're also bringing Lisa Dodson. So let me share Lisa Dodson. I did these graphics tonight, y'all. Y'all like those?
I do.
Yeah, that's very nice. You're gonna have to send that to me.
I can send it to you. It's just very professional. I'm just trying to.
I love it.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so we had Lisa Dodson. Lisa is a tribe member. So, Lisa Dodson, tell us about your writing journey and how you went from and to get into writing romances and writing for Harlequin.
Well, as usual with my writing journey, it is literally for me always been, I'm in the right place at the right time. So how I got started was basically I came across Romance Slam Jam back in the early 2000s. I just stumbled across it online, and I lived in Aurora, Illinois at the time, and they were actually, oddly enough, where I am right now in Raleigh, Durham. And so they were going to be there the long weekend, and spur of the moment, I was just like, I'm going to go. And I didn't know a soul there. I was an aspiring author, and I just wanted to go. And it was literally like the best thing I've ever literally done in my life, except for, have my kids. But it was just, from a writer's perspective, it was just a kid in a candy store. I got to meet all of the veterans back in the day, Brenda Jackson, Donna, Beverly Jenkins, Frances Ray, Leslie Banks. I mean, I just met everybody, and they were all just crazy nice, and I was just starstruck. And so I literally ran into my girlfriend, Pat Simmons. Y'all probably all know her. And we kind of hit it off that weekend. And as I was going by, she was coming out of an editor's meeting, and she just went, Lisa, you want to write a book with me? And I'm like, okay. So that's how I got started. And so I had to find a veteran author that was already established. So Pat had interviewed Perry Brown, Ebony Satin Brown, before. So she just dragged me along behind her, and we poor Perry waylaid her in the corner somewhere and just said, hey, we need an established author. Do you want to write a book with us? And she said, yeah. And so the funny thing was, the publishing house Pat had pitched it to, we sent them the proposal, and they passed on it. And I never forget, I have not gotten many rejection letters in my time, but the rejection letter I did get was literally on a yellow sticky. And it said, we're going to pass. And it wasn't even for me, it was some other author. So I was like, well, I don't want to write for you anyway. You can't even get my name right. So yeah, so after that, it was the next project in line for Carl Weber, who was trying to get Perry on board. And so he just sight unseen said, I'll take it. And so that's how we ended up getting it published with Kensington. And from there, I wrote a couple of books for Kensington. And then my agent just pitched a story idea that I had for Harlequin. And so that's kind of how my writing journey began.
Awesome, awesome. So Tony Bonita said, Love is Blind is a very good book. And Sharon V. Jones said, read several older Earl Sewell books. Love them. Okay, hello Earl and Lisa. Marze said, when I taught middle school, my students loved the True series. What do you mean?
Nice.
Alice Jones said, Lorenz Tate looks like he never, I don't even want to know.
No, she said, she looks like he never ages.
Oh, that's what she meant?
That's what she meant.
Yeah, because
No,
I thought she meant something else.
No. We ain't even on that kick tonight.
Woo!
No.
I'm like, what look is that? And if you spot it, you got it. I'm just saying.
You're not gonna play those games tonight.
Indeed. Okay. So Lisa, you're a member of the tribe. What has been like that for you? And you're also a tribe leader at that.
What that's been like for me is accountability with a capital A. It is just, it's kind of hard to kind of sit in a corner in any tribe group.
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah. So what's been fun about it is that it has really done well for me as far as getting, or I always say when you're an author is, surround yourself with like-minded people. And because not only does that give you inspiration, it also allows you to connect with people and share stories, good, bad, or ugly, get advice. And so that's been invaluable for me. The fact that the tribe, once you're in it, you just ride or die. Everybody's just ride or die. They'll do anything for you. They will offer you, when you're down, the creative juices just aren't flowing. Sometimes all you need is a phone call, a text, a message just to pick me up. Hey, how's it going? And it's like, oh, it sucks right now. And oh, why? And, you kind of get that dialogue going. And sometimes that helps kind of get the blockage loose. And then you're off and writing again. So it's just been a great camaraderie and a really wonderful group to be a part of. So it's just, there's no downsides.
Indeed. So of all of the characters that you've created, which one is your favorite?
Don't cry for me, Alejandro.
Yeah, bro.
We just had to bring Dro into the mix.
I know. Talk about that series.
Don't run Dro through hell. Let's go and get him out the way so we can get this over with.
I love me some Dro. So the funny thing is, Lisa was the one who actually named Dro. I could call Alejandro. I love that name. So I could say that like 82 times in one sentence. And I probably did a couple of times. You're like, okay, boo, we need a shorter nickname for this guy. And so she named him Dro. And I'm like, Dro, what the heck, Dro? But it stuck. And so I like Dro. I never tire of talking about him, never tire, just thinking about him. And he actually was a fan favorite. So that was kind of a surprise, but yeah, he's got to be my favorite. He's one that stays with me.
That book was the bomb. King of Hyde Park. You brought, not saying the other one wasn't, but it's just, that was like action packed. It was the heat. It was, I would marry Dro. I like it.
Yeah, me too. I was
I had
just
to
like,
clean that up because I was about to say something else. And we were
it's like if Lola messed up, boy, I'm
look,
right
it is
here.
currently 9:20 p.m. in the Eastern Standard District. So whatever goes is whatever goes.
we are cool. We are recording. We are trying. We are
No. Family time is over after 9 p.m. I'm sorry. Nobody's there.
Marie up there at the top. She's one of the Baby Tribe members. She's brand new to writing. She's writing a memoir. This is Lisa and Marie. Marie gets that accountability from you every day. Marie, do you have a question for Lisa?
Lisa. What advice would you give to new authors just getting into the business, someone who is aspiring to get into the business?
Yeah, she has an accent. She's from Jamaica.
Hey, all right. One of my books is in Jamaica. I had a fun time writing that one. I will say one of the things that has been consistent with me since literally the first book I ever wrote and got published is for new authors is just make sure two things. One, make sure you're writing in a genre you're comfortable with, writing about characters you're comfortable with, because if you're not, that shows through in the writing. And then also you have to get your manuscript professionally edited and by a literary editor who is looking for things, a lot different things than, say, for instance, just somebody that's just checking your grammar and making sure it's correct. They're looking for pacing. They're looking for character development. They're looking for consistency. Do you have somebody wearing pants on page 52 and a skirt on page 54, but you haven't actually indicated that they've had a wardrobe change? So just things like that, and whether or not you're actually staying true to the character from page 1 to page 300. And so that's things that just like your mom's friend's English teacher down the street is just not going to catch. So you really have to invest the money, because it ain't cheap, and get a professional editor. That is the biggest thing that I can recommend for new writers, aspiring also.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Appreciate it.
Stephanie, a question for Lisa. I wanted to say Nelena.
Hey, Thriller Queen.
Howdy. Oh gosh. Talk to me about your writing process. Are you a morning person, writing in the morning, or a night owl?
So that depends on where I am in the process. I'm a pantser, so I like Kathy. I don't like outlines whatsoever. I recognize that they're important. I recognize that they kind of help keep you on track, or when you go off the rails, you're able to just glance at it and get yourself back to where you need to be. But I am literally, I have to be sitting at the laptop, and whatever flows through is what I'm writing down. And that's for the rough draft. Now I can always change something, but I have to work that process. And as far as whether or not I like to write in the morning or evening, it really doesn't depend. It depends actually on how much sleep I got the night before, to be honest. Because if I was up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning writing, I'm not getting up at 8 a.m. and writing 4,000 words. It's just not happening because I like my sleep. So it really just depends.
I hear that. Sleep is a beautiful thing.
I wouldn't know what that is, but check this out. Show of hands. I'd like to see who the plotters in the house are. Show of hands. Plotters. 1.
I'm a pantser.
Okay, so that's 2.5. Okay, so pantsers.
Can I vote twice?
Yeah, really, seriously.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, Martha, you have a question for Lisa.
I do. Hello, Miss Lisa.
Hey, Miss Martha.
So how do you do the whole work-life balance thing from writing? When I say work-life, I'm talking about obviously your everyday kids, all that stuff we were trying to talk about, and then the life of actually being a heads down writing, trying to get it, deadline or no deadline, trying to get it in. How do you find a balance?
I have none. I'm trying to work on that myself, to be honest. It is something I'm really trying to work on because I work from home. And so literally I am at the computer like all day into the evening, sometimes into the early morning, and just there is no balance for Lisa. So I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to, what I've recently started doing is just writing consistently every day, writing something, even if it's just like a sentence, a couple of paragraphs, something, so that I could say I got that aspect of my life done for that day. Because what I notice is when I don't do that, now I'm starting to worry about stuff and it's on my mind, and it's better for me to get it off my mind and onto paper. So I'm trying to make sure that I do that all the way across the board with work, with writing, with everything. And so it's getting easier, but yeah, for the most part, it's just whatever time of day is, because sometimes I'll end up working later into the evening. And so by the time it's time for me to be creative, sometimes I just don't have it. And then that reverse of that is, okay, getting up in the morning and writing, I really have to make myself do that. So who knows? It's just, there is no set schedule over here at Casa del Lisa. It's just whatever time I got to write is when I'm writing, and who knows when that is. Me and my dog, we just ride or die over here with a laptop. That's how I roll.
Was that the dog just now? Because it sounded like he was dying.
No, he's over here sitting.
No, actually, that's my dog. That's my dog. I was trying to put her and get it on mute. She has allergy issues. She has allergies.
My dog's over here asleep. He knows how this works. He's like, okay, whatever.
No, mine over here, she's like right at my feet, but she has allergies. So I tried to hit mute. My bad.
No problem.
Indeed. So thank you so much, Lisa. You guys have sociotaps. Martha, Shakir, anybody who has a sociotap, you can drop the link in the chat for the readers to go find out more about you and click on your bios. If you're not familiar with a sociotap, you can click, hold on, let me make sure I put mine in there. And then you can click and get a free one. It is awesome. So any authors that are listening, you want to get yourself a sociotap. There's the free version that is, it's better than LinkedIn. It's better than 10,000 cards. It's better than all of that. It's one-stop shopping. Let's see here. Cavalcade of Authors, Nalena Kai on sociotap. Wow. And the free version works just fine. You can drop your sociotap in there. There's Shakir's as well. If you click on it, let me show you guys what it looks like. And then we're going to shift on over to Earl Sewell after another one gotta go, because I got some doozies for you. I got some. Well, the tribe put them together. So this is what my sociotap looks like. And it is.
Oh, that's nice. I'll have to do that.
Right. Well, yeah. I had put that in the tribe, Namaste and Namakir. So, I'm just saying.
Here we go.
And that's not the dog.
Look at the time.
Yes, indeed.
That part.
But this is such an easy process. It has all of your, if you have business, it's not just for authors. So has all of my links here. If you click here, it'll take you everywhere you need to go. As well as, come on. It'll take you everywhere you need to go for all of the Clubhouse, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook page. This is how people register for the Spring Fling. I've got a free book download there as well, and a 1-hour consultation. You click this one to get a sociotap, and you can go for the free version. It works just well. And the thing about it is, if you want the paid version, that's when you get the analytics. So it'll take you to my Amazon page. You can sign up for my monthly newsletter. So take that link, use it. And some of the other tribe members, they're dropping that in the chat for you to use right now. I have mine in there. Anita just put hers in there. Any tribe members, go ahead and drop your sociotap in the chat for the readers to stay connected with you in this process. So we're gonna slide it over to Earl in a hot second, but let's oh, this is good. This is good. I forgot who said that. One has to go. Movie sequels. Sister Act 2. Wait, was it Coming to America 2? Bad Boys for Life, Barbershop, Best Man Holiday, or Sister Act 2? Okay, Earl, which one's gotta go?
I haven't even seen that.
Coming to America 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, gotta go. They tried to bring 80s comedies to the new millennium and they just messed my movie up for me.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. Lisa.
Oh. I haven't seen Bad Boys, so I'm gonna go with. Okay, I'm gonna agree with Eric a little bit. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna have to say Coming to America 2.
Okay. So you mean Earl?
Earl, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Shakir.
Me, Sister Act 2. Yeah, go on, have it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So, Arthur.
Here, you and I are on the same wavelength. You know, I thought it was okay, but and yes, and Coming to America was a little bit cheesy, but I liked it. It was a cool cheesy. Yeah, Sister Act 2 have to go.
Okay.
I don't even know why we having this conversation. It wasn't that hard for me.
Kathy.
Okay, well, I have not seen Coming to America 2, so or Bad Boys for Life. So I guess my life would be perfectly happy without either one of them. So since I've been happy so far. So I'm gonna go with Coming to America 2, just because that just got like a little bad review. So I'm gonna jump on that one.
Stephanie, we're gonna pass because I know you haven't seen any of these. Basically.
Well, I did see Coming to America too. I'm working on the others.
Look at you go.
Well, you can have 1/5 of your black card black. I'm just saying. Marie.
I haven't seen Best Man Holiday, so I'll say that one.
Okay, Reese.
This is a good movie.
Okay.
Okay, my black cards in jeopardy again because I'm gonna pick Sister Act 2 because I have not seen 1 or 2, but I've seen all these other movies.
Wow.
Oh my God, the one that made Lauren
Reese,
joyful and all.
I have not seen. Oh, Reese, add these on your to view list. They're good.
They're good.
Isn't it on Netflix
both of them are just the
somewhere or Amazon?
Both of them.
Prime?
Both of them.
Okay.
Janice.
I added to my list.
Coming to America, definitely.
Have mercy, this is funny.
Okay, so what are the readers saying? What are the readers saying? Everybody, the readers, drop the answers, your answers in the chat.
Let's see what we got.
Kick us. Oof. Who said barbershop too? What? I ain't ever laughed so hard.
That was hilarious. Okay, now the
Yeah, it
readers
looks
are
like
gonna get this
potpourri
one
at this
first.
point.
So let's go for.
I'm surprised about the bad boy ones.
I know, right? Okay, so here's one. Here we go.
Oh.
Blue-eyed soul roll with him. Oh, y'all ain't right.
Wow. Lisa Stansfield.
I
I ain't
mean, we
seen her in
really
a
ain't
month
right.
of Sundays.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow,
wow.
that's hard.
This is a hard one.
Like, whew.
But KJ said bye-bye Adele.
I'm about to say somebody just jumped on Adele and like, woo, okay, that's
Okay,
what we
readers,
doing.
put your answers in. Put your answers in the chat. Okay, so one by one. Lisa.
First, I'm gonna say, and it pains me to do so, but Lisa Stansfield. And I love me some Lisa.
She don't get to go around the world and buy.
Oh.
I feel you. Janice.
I'm going to say Joss Stone because I don't know who she is. The others I know.
She was the
Oh,
protege of Betty Wright. You have to listen to her music. It's really,
Was she?
yeah, she was a protege of Betty Wright. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Marie.
I am not familiar with Joss Stone.
So she would go. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Stephanie.
Christina Aguilera, because she sounds like she's gargling when she sings.
Oh my God. Reese.
I love all these artists, but I'm gonna have to go with Lisa Stansfield just because I feel like the rest of them have a bigger body of work that I'm familiar with.
Reese.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Kathy.
Okay, well, now that you've said who the first person was, because just looking at the picture, I had no idea who that was. I only know Lisa Stansfield from one song. I think I know Christina Aguilera from one song. So either one. I guess I'm gonna knock out Christina Aguilera because I don't really know her.
Reese, you gonna be all right over there, Reese?
No.
Sorry, Reese. You know what? On second thought, after I've given it more consideration, I'm gonna go with Lisa then because I don't want to hurt Reese. Is that better?
Earl.
I know everyone except for Joss Stone, so I'm going to have to, knock out Joss.
Oh wow, y'all got to listen to her catalog. Y'all have
heard of
Stone is good.
Martha.
See, that's a hard one because I love them all. I'm not gonna even lie. I love absolutely all. Okay, so I guess I would kick young Christine Aguilera to the curb, I guess, because all that pop stuff she did. So before she came into her own later on, and now because all her oh man, her stuff is so rich and powerful right now. So that's the only reason I'm saying anything about Christina Aguilera. I'm gonna go ahead and go with that because of her early work. But her later stuff is on point.
She had a whole dissertation on this one, boy.
I know I did. I'm not about taking none of my cards.
Whatever works.
I got a piece of one, so
Indeed.
about the size of a postage stamp.
And we've been trying to fill up her black card. You know that card that comes before you get the real card? Yeah. That's what Stephanie had.
Messed up.
Indeed. So, Lisa, did you tell us where we can find you?
Yes, sorry.
Was it that?
I posted all my old school Bitly links in the chat, but yeah, you can find me basically at lisawatson.com. Everywhere else, I'm Lisa Y Dodson, Twitter, Facebook, BookBub, everywhere else, Lisa Y Dodson.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're bringing Earl to the stage. He's our last author, but not the least author of the night, Earl Sewell. And he writes, his catalog this is YA that he did for Harlequin, but he's really awesome in the voice over industry. A lot of books that you've heard on Audible has been narrated by Earl Sewell. So he's going to talk a little bit about his writing, the adult writing, the YA writing, as well as his voiceover work as well. So Earl, tell the people who you are. Get a people.
Get a hit me. Huh? All right. Good.
Love that one where you with the hat on and you're acting like your father.
Yeah. That's my TikTok life. I gotta leave my TikTok life out of this.
Right. That's a whole other vibe.
That's a whole yeah. So thanks for having me. Yeah, I am Earl Sewell. I am the author of about 26 novels in various genres, from YA to women's romance to historical fiction, you name it, I've probably dipped in it at one point or another. I have been around for a while. When I started in this business, I had hair. My hair didn't have the decency to turn gray first. It just started to fall out. So yeah, my journey into writing began as a self-published author. I was trying to break into the industry way back in the 20th century. And my journey ended up with 43 rejection letters from publishers, large and small. And so that's what put me into the idea of self-publishing. At the time, there was a book by Dan Poynter, I think his name was. It was a guide to self-publishing. And I took that book and I read it from cover to cover and learned everything that I could. And I self-published my book, and I hustled the book for about 2 years before I was picked up by BET Books. And so I got a contract with BET Books. And then from there on, I ended up writing for them, for Kensington, for Putnam, for Simon & Schuster, for Harlequin, you name it. I've been out there writing. Then as digital technology started to come around, because this was pre-Kindle years that I was doing this. And so I remember when Kindle came out, people were saying, no one's going to read a book on a device. Everybody wants a book in their hand. And, yeah, here we are now, years later, where it seems like everything is digital, and a book is, sometimes feels like something that's rare. So I saw this shift happening, and not only for digital books, but for audio content as well, because over the years, technology has hit every industry. Some of you may be here young enough to remember Napster, where the free music sharing thing. Remember Napster, where you could go get all your music from Napster, and all of a sudden that person got kicked off for a copyright reason. Then next thing you know, Apple came out with, hey, you can download your music on our little iPod mini, and basically took that concept and ran with it. So, but anyway, so as the technology began to get better, it made it easier to get into audiobooks. And so what I ended up doing is I hired a voice coach to teach me how to perform literature instead of reading it. Because one of the things that I discovered is, as a writer, when back during my time, when I would get in front of an audience, they would always ask you to read. And so, especially with writing young adult content, I could not get up in front of a bunch of 15-year-olds and say, okay, chapter 1. I would lose them. So I turned it into, on my own, I turned it into a bit of a theater performance. And I took that show on the road all over the country. And so next thing I know, people want, young people were saying, I want your book, because I would give them, my hook was that you're going to watch me transform into a 16-year-old girl. And so when I would say that, the whole audience was like, yeah, I want to see this. And so, but anyway, so I took that idea, I hired a voice coach, I learned how to perform literature even better. And then I went out and I purchased some equipment. I have an undergrad degree in broadcasting. So, I knew a bit of, something about broadcasting. So I got some equipment, sat down and recorded one of my own books first. That I owned the rights to, and I put it out there, and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. Then I did something else exciting, and I turned it into a podcast. And when I turned it into a podcast, my world opened up globally, because now people all over the world could hear my work, which was, super exciting. So then after that, some people heard my voice and they said, hey, will you narrate my book for me? I was like, for real? So that led to one audiobook contract after another. And so I think I'm up to about 14 or 15 books that I've narrated now for independents and publishers alike. And I have 2 that I'm currently narrating now. So there you go. That's my spiel.
Good deal.
For questions for Earl Sewell. Okay, Janice, you have a question.
Yes, I do. Hello, how are you, Mr. Sewell?
I'm above ground.
That's half the battle. Well, that's most of the battle. Is they have
That's the battle, yes.
half underground. That's the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like writing one genre more than another? And what drew you to the different genres that you write in or have written in?
As a creative, we're all in this business as creatives. We're in the entertainment business, and a lot of times it's feast or famine. So, we have to diversify. We have to be flexible. So I view myself as a good storyteller, no matter what genre it is in. And, I'll study the genre, and, to get some of the principles of it down, but then, I will let my storytelling skills, guide the rest of it. There's not one particular genre that I like over the other, because when I'm in it, I am in it. If I'm in YA, I'm completely submerged in the YA world. When I write historical fiction, I'm completely submerged in doing the research and doing all of that for writing historical fiction. I mean, I really use my mind's eye and my creativity to see the story that I want to tell and to bring it to life in the best possible way that I can. And right now, even with that being said, I'm pregnant with several books. I'm pregnant with, I am pregnant and I need to give birth. And so that's been an interesting thing, because, you as writers, that when you have a story in your head or circulating around, you get that little nagging thing. When are you going to write me? When are you going to write me? And now I have several people in my head saying, I'm still waiting, to sit down at the computer. Okay, you narrating that, but you need to come and get some of this narration out of your head.
Right.
Yeah. So, but no, there's not one particular genre. I mean, I just like the art and craft of writing.
Yep, there you go.
Indeed. Lisa, go ahead and tell him what you just said.
Oh, what I was gonna say is, Earl, I loved your voiceover for the Kings of the Castle. I could listen to that like all day. It was amazing. I was sitting there going,
And the Cavalcade one, oh my God, that was
Indeed.
beast mode. And he did one trailer, and then he did one for each of the authors, all 9 of the authors that were part of it. That was just, thank you. That was just amazing.
It was fun. It was fun to do, because on the side of an audiobook narrator, it's one thing to, since I'm on both sides, I know what it's like to be a writer, and I know what it's like to hear your work performed. So when I narrate, I try to really get the author's intent. So I'm wearing multiple hats. One as an author, where it's like, okay, I know what it's like to write a book, and I know it's your baby. And I know you want your baby to come to life in a particular way, or I try to get that particular way where you want that baby to come to life. And so it's really about, for me, the other side, studying text, studying what you as the writer put down on the page, finding the clues to what you're giving me for each character. So, if you say your character's from Mississippi and has a Mississippi accent, and likes to smoke and, has a slack jaw, well, I can sit there and say, well, Alicia, I really want to thank you for allowing me to do that. Or if you have somebody that's from the East Coast and may speak with a different accent or dialect, because although we all speak English, in different parts of the country, everybody speaks a different dialect. Boston dialect is different from a Philadelphia dialect, which is different from a New York dialect. Even in the South, a South Carolina accent, or the Carolinas, people have a tendency to elongate their words. So they'll say, well, I really do believe what we have here is a situation. So they have a tendency to elongate it. Now, if anybody has ever been to New Orleans, that's a whole nother language down in New Orleans.
Let's hear it.
Oh, I can't, I know my limitations. I cannot do
that. I ain't even mad at you on that.
Yeah, because New Orleans, they have a whole different way of speaking in New York. And dialects even vary from, culture. Yeah, city to city, because a Midwestern dialect in Chicago is different from a Midwestern Minnesota accent. I'm from Minnesota, So, there are all these different ways, and, that's just within American culture. But if you start breaking it down by Native Americans and how they learn linguistics, and, Irish, how they learn linguistics, and German, how they learn linguistics, it really becomes vocal acrobatics. So I just hired a singing coach so that I could really understand the instrument of the voice, because it is an instrument, and how to keep it healthy, and how not to strain, and how to do vocal warm-ups. so that I get a full range of my tenor voice. So, you know, that has been an interesting journey with just learning about something as simple as vocal health when narrating a book, because I'm doing a lot of twists and turns with sounds. And, you know, and the last thing I'll say about that is, you know, when people have characters, as a narrator, I have to be consistent. If I give a character a voice, I have to have that voice for that character consistently throughout the book. So I have to know where that voice is in my body. I have to know where it is in my vocal cords. I have to know how to recall it while I'm performing the work, because that's important. And then, you know, I got to make sure that I don't strain to do something. Just like a singer, you know, tries to sing out of their range, you got to make sure I don't do it out of my range. Like sometimes when there's a book that has a lot of female voices, I really have to like be aware of what little inflection or what little thing that I put to create that specific female voice, just like I have to do male voices. But I look at that as from a writer's perspective too, as what is the writer's intent with this character? What's their emotion? What's their feeling? You know, what are you as writers giving me? I'm Earl.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
This has been really informative. Thank you, Earl. I could just listen to you all evening.
Thank you.
It's definitely that. I think Shannon said that she remembers a book that you narrated called Under the Same Roof by Anthony McGee.
Yes. Yeah, that book had about 60 different characters in it, believe it or not. I had to vocalize 60 different voices. And so that was a fun book, but it was a real challenge to not only come up with the different voices, but also to capture the emotional content of those characters, you know, because, you know, you can't just do a flat read. Nobody likes to hear a monotone reader, you know, but I mean, I was doing all kinds of things to make sure that I hit certain voices. I mean, it's amazing what just what a twisting of the body can do and how it can change how sound comes out.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things I learned from my voice coach too.
Well, to step away from the audio side and jump in on the book side, I guess, as far as that is, I know you and I were in the same house at the same time as far as the imprint of Simon & Schuster. So my questions will definitely run on that particular gambit. What was it like writing with Pat Tucker? Because
wait.
At one point in time, but I had to find out from somebody else.
Wait, I'm recording. I'll just let you guys.
No, I'm not. No, this is not meant for anything other than curiosity more than anything else. That's all it is. Yeah. I love working. Look, I love working with her. She was gorgeous for me, but I'm just saying I never got a chance to write with her, so I wanted to find out from him.
Pat and we were writing incredibly fast. Mm-hmm. She's a fast writer. When she writes, it's on. So we were going back and forth. So when she would write a chapter, then I would come back and write a chapter. And we had a general idea of where we wanted our story to go, but it was interesting kind of playing off of that, because she would give me something and she would put a little nuance in there that I did not expect. And so as she was writing the female character, I had to come back and write the male character that addressed some of the, nuances she put in there. Then I said, well, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this, and it was really like a tennis match watching Venus and Serena go back and forth. I mean, you're both very incredibly talented and you want them both to win. It was a win-win situation for both of us, but it was that strong tennis match back and forth with writing it. That was probably the fastest times I've ever written a book. Because if there's one thing that taught me was when you have an accountability writing partner that's like that, you're on. But it was a fun journey.
Okay, good deal, definitely. I think the other
Wait, Martha.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know we shifted, but I was really curious. Earl, on when you get a project to narrate, have you ever gotten one that you looked at and like, not as far as the level of difficulty, but maybe the subject matter of the story, or you just wasn't feeling it, that you'd have to like say, I can't do this, or I got to put it down for a minute, I have to figure something out. Have you ever had any situation like that?
Yeah. I know from a writer's perspective how difficult it is to sit down and write a book, and to produce something that you think is ready to be shown to the world. And then to have someone come back and say the book needs some more work, or it's just not, for me. And I'm really delicate, with that, because there is a lot of emotion tied to a project or to a book. And I'm not here to tear down anyone's creativities. What I have said to people is, I want you to put the best you forward. The best you possible forward. And your project in its current state is not going to represent you well. And I want you to be represented well. So, take that under advisement and go back to the drawing board and then come back. I recently just auditioned for Random House for a book called I think it was called The Curious Life of the N-Word. And it's by this Harvard professor. And it was about the history and the use of the N-word. At first I was like, oh, I don't want this, I don't want to be going, all through the book. But then as I started reading it and he approached it from a scholarly perspective, it became really a fascinating look at why and how we use that protean word. So the audition is still out there. At first I was like nervous about if I got it or not, but now I'm like, I hope I get it, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shakir?
Oh yeah, the other bit that I remembered. The other adult titles that you have at your disposal, which one did you enjoy the most?
Probably. That's like asking which one's your favorite child.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. I want to say, part of me wants to say my first one, which was a book called Taken for Granted, because that was the book that I really sat down and, gave birth to actually writing a book. But the one after that, that's running a real close one, is one that I really crafted well, and that's called Have Mercy. I really enjoyed writing Have Mercy to the point that I was obsessed with my own work. I enjoyed writing that book so much. There are books that in transparency, there are books that I wrote for money, because it's feast or famine, and that were, maybe a little bit rushed or whatever. And then there are books that I crafted, that I know that I put some craft into this, and how I lead the reader through the work, what I revealed, when I revealed it, the timing of the reveal, and how I wrap it up. So, that's the thing with being a creative. Sometimes, you're doing things against a deadline, or you're doing it for resources and you got to do it. But then there's those projects that you say, you know what, this particular work speaks to me so strongly. I know that I have to write this and produce this in a particular way to get every argument that I'm trying to convey out.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Was there another question? Oh, wow. Alice, thank you. I have truly enjoyed this Cavalcade of Authors. It was most interesting. Okay. Any other questions for Earl before we do this last one? Gotta go. And please know, tomorrow it starts. I sent out the entire schedule. It starts at Central Standard Time. I know some people said they were here at, I'm not, somebody's triggered. I won't say any names, Reese Ryan. But no, I'm talking about readers that were just knocking at the door in 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So tomorrow, the schedule that I emailed out to everyone, it starts at Central Standard Time. I will not probably open up until about 5 minutes before we go showtime. So just wanted to know that. Shakir, Marsha's asked, oh, you did tell her what your shirt said?
Yeah. Bad decisions, great stories.
Great stories. Okay. Any other questions for Earl? Earl, where can
facts, Shakir, facts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Any other questions that we have in the chat for Earl?
Yes, there is one from Stella Oni.
Go ahead.
Can you tell us more about your shift from self-published to being traditionally published, and which do you advise or prefer?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, when I first started, as a self-published author, the whole idea was to get to a traditional publishing house because of distribution. As a self-published author, your books are in the trunk and you're going to barbershops or you're going to conventions and you're buying table space at a convention and you're hand selling the books. But people aren't necessarily able to get it, or at the time weren't necessarily able to go to Barnes and Noble or Borders Books to get it. So the drive was to, build an audience and then convince a publisher to take you on so that you can get the distribution. And then when you got the deal, you felt like, I have arrived. Go buy my book at Borders, go buy my book at Walden's, it's on the shelf. There was a sense of like, I have arrived because you can go to a bookstore. But actually when you self-published it, you already did arrive. But in our culture, it's like, you got to be in a bookstore to be legitimate.
Considered.
Yeah, exactly. So, but now I'm leaning more towards being an independent because digital technology, no one's necessarily, well, I won't say anyone, people are downloading books, and I do not need a publisher to get a distribution deal like that to have a book downloaded off of Amazon or some other platform. So it becomes then what's in it for me to go with the traditional publisher. I mean, there may be resources involved and that sort of thing. But right now I'm enjoying having the creative freedom and all of my rights to take my work and do other things with it. For example, I can take a scene from my book and create a webisode on YouTube and market the book that way. I can do it into a podcast. I can do, so many, I do no blog, but there's so many things, so many more ways to get the word out today than there was back in 1999. And so that's why I'm kind of enjoying the independent side a little bit more, because I have a little bit more flexibility and wiggle room, and I don't have to ask somebody permission to do something with my own work that I created because I signed over a certain number of rights. But that's not to say that there's anything bad with going with a traditional publisher. It's just, for me, being on both sides, I'm leaning toward the independent right now. Now, if somebody happens to come with me and they got a number of zeros behind the deal, well, then I'm gonna go with the zero behind the deal. Keep it real. But it's like great to be independent, but again, it's we're creatives and we're entertainers. And so yes, we have that artistic side, but then we have that resources side where we need some money. That's my answer.
Earl, really quick, Marsha just asked, what does your shirt say? And is there a new book on the horizon from you?
This is one of my marathon shirt finishers. For those of you who don't know, I do marathons and triathlons, so I'm always, training. And yeah, as I said before, I'm pregnant with several books. I have a title that's in my one called Love on the Run. That's really, pulling at me. There's another work of there's a historical story that I want to write. And it's about one of the first military teams that were in the 1800s that rode their bicycles across the country. Because at the time when bicycles were being invented, they were trying to use them for military purposes. But there was a platoon that did this, and I wanted to write their story. I wanted to write from that perspective. So there's so many other stories in the African American diaspora that have not been told, or people don't know about, that writing historical fiction fascinates me by taking real life events and intermingling them into a fictionalized story, but edutain you along the way. So that's my answer.
Nice.
Okay, so I am going to, are there any more questions for Earl before we go to this one last one gotta go question?
I think that's about it.
Okay, so let me share the screen, and Earl, you get to answer first, and then everybody flows around. One gotta go.
Oh.
Earl, you get first.
The second one, the 2 scoops of ice cream, they gotta go.
Okay. Marie.
The ice cream sandwich at the bottom left.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That was one of my favorites. Lisa.
The last one.
The Sunday? Is that a Sunday?
That's a Sunday.
Because once I eat all 3 of them ice cream sandwiches, I'm not gonna have any room.
I feel you, sister. Oh my goodness.
Reese.
That one's super easy for me. I hate popsicles because that's just sugar water.
I hear you. Stephanie.
I'll go with the popsicles too, because I'm sorry, the Sunday would be in my hair. Yeah.
I hear you. Kathy.
I'm gonna go with the popsicle.
Janice.
Popsicle.
All right, readers, let us know. Shakir.
Can I tell you mine?
Shakir, hold on.
Popsicles.
Okay, Martha, I'm almost scared for you to answer, because if it's long and hard, I'm just saying.
I know, girl. What the heck is wrong with you people? But no, I'm from Texas and it's always hot. So we're gonna hold on to our popsicles.
Good.
I'm gonna get rid of the cone. I don't need a cone. I like some cream. You can do a lot with cream.
Because when you hold your breath when either Martha or Shakir has to answer a question.
I know, right? Oh my God. Wait.
I can see those little wheels turning. Well, what can I do with a popsicle?
Yeah, I like the popsicles. That's what I'm saying. Girl, y'all don't understand.
Wait. We were down at the, I can't even
I wasn't going down that road, but if we gonna play these games,
Wait, she was down there. Where were we? We were in the Bahamas. And her opening line for her intro was, when the question that somebody posed to her, and her answer was, well, if I got a hole, my husband can have at it. And I was like, whatever hole it is, I'm like,
you're gonna learn to stop asking these open-ended questions, because it leaves the whole answer to any kind of interpretation.
I was like,
hey, well, that was nothing left open there. They understand. I don't believe in that. No.
Lakeisha said Martha told it all in the Bahamas.
Right, she sure did.
I sure did.
Wait, her and S.L. Jennings, they asked her, does she do all of that sexy stuff in her book? And she said, she looked to see if her mother-in-law was still in the audience, and she wasn't. She said, let me tell you something. No, I don't do none of that stuff. She said, I'm lazy.
And I'm just the opposite. I promoted that. Everything I write about, I done done. And then some.
Oh my God. Ooh, look at the time. Look at the time.
Martha, I have to get some of your books.
Yeah. That's all I can.
We're gonna read Martha, and then when she comes back over, you like,
do you need that narrated?
Right.
Do you need a narrator for that?
Wait.
Y'all like something else.
I'm through with y'all. Y'all, I can't.
Jesus, no.
Yeah, but I've been married 27 years. That's all I'm saying.
Damn.
There is that though.
No further questions, ladies and gentlemen.
Someone wants to know if Earl put his contact info in the chat.
oh yeah, put your contact info in the chat.
Yeah, we'll do.
And
Marsha said, yeah, bye.
Now tomorrow, everybody, is Spotlight on Simon & Schuster, Entangled. I forgot, Earl, that you were with Simon & Schuster. If you want to stop through tomorrow and talk about that experience, you can. You got open in because you're part of the Cavalcade. And Royce, one of our sponsors, Royce and Bunny and Deborah Mitchell, Royce and Bunny, they always are pitching for you, especially being part of the Cavalcade. And even though you're not officially a tribe member, we'll say you're a tribe outro member. And you've been riding for us for I don't know how many years, from the first Cavalcade, way back 17 years ago, you were at the first one. So go ahead.
Even further that with you, we go back Yeah,
go
well, you remember
way-
when I had hair, so yeah, we go back to self-publishing days. So yeah.
Well, you, I'll say we're old enough that you're not growing hair where you, where you want it, and I'm growing hair where I don't need it. So, I'm just saying, woo, look at that.
Just
Yeah,
man, it's just all
well,
good.
well,
I know,
well,
right?
yeah, and it's like nothing won't grow on my head, but in my nose I got damn dreadlocks. Like what the hell? I'm constantly going, what the hell? You know, like I'm pulling out dreadlocks.
I know, that is too hilarious. Okay, everybody, 30-second outros. Let's start with Marie. You give your final pitches or whatever, 30 seconds each person, and we are going to, everyone, thank you for coming. We really appreciate you being here with us tonight on a Friday night. You can spread the word, you can spread the link, because evidently there's room. There are people who are not going to come at the right time. I won't say no names. But anyway, I'm just saying, you can spread the word and spread the link. It's open. You can, we've got room for 500. There were actually 418 people that registered. So Marie, starting with 30 seconds each person, and let these people go to bed.
I'm Marie McKenzie. My first novel, my first book, Things That Keep Me Up at Night, will be released this summer. It's my memoir about my childhood trauma and healing. You may reach me on social media as Marie McKenzie. I'll be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and my website, marielmckenzie.com.
Indeed. Okay.
Good night.
Indeed. You know what you're going to do from this point on? Marie, you throw it to the next person.
Oh, over to you, Stephanie.
Evening, everybody. I'm so glad everybody came out. I'm Stephanie M. Freeman. According to my mom, that M stands for Michelle, but to my fans, it stands for Murder, Mayhem, and Mystery. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're brave, you can check out my website, StephanieMFreemanAuthor.com. Remember the name, you'll be screaming it later.
That's what I'm talking about.
Throw it to somebody else, Stephanie.
Okay, Miss Reese, take it away.
I'm Reese Ryan. I write sexy, emotional, romantic fiction featuring lots of family drama, surprising secrets, and a cast of complicated, sometimes messy characters. And my last release was Waking Up Married. My release next week, next Tuesday, is about grandparents who fall in love while trying to stop their college-age kids from having a shotgun wedding, and it's called Something About You. And that's with Rose Gold Press.
Nice.
Throw it to somebody else, Ryan.
Next, Martha.
All right. Thank you very much. Martha Kennerson, this has been really, really wonderful. You guys you literally just can Google me, Martha Kennerson, you'll find me everywhere. And I have a couple of things that are in the works. So just keep a lookout.
Okay. Y'all don't get it.
Oh, Kathy, let's go, Kathy. I'm coming.
Okay, I am Kathy Douglas. I write sweet, small town emotional romances for Harlequin Special Edition. And my next book is Redemption on Rivers Ranch. It will be coming out in May of 2021, and I have another one coming out. You can find me at kathydouglasbooks.com, and all my links are there. And I'm going to throw it to Janice.
Thank you. My name is Janice M. Allen, M for Marie. You can find me on social media that way, Janice M. Allen. And my first novel was No Right Way to Do a Wrong Thing. I had followed that up with a short story called Cayenne, because she's hot like fire. Well, not hot like Martha can write hot, but hot anyway, in her own way. And I wrote in The Kings of the Castle, and the follow-up novel to that, King of Lawndale. I would love to hear from you, and thank you, Lelena Kai, for everything tonight. It was wonderful. And I will throw it to Earl Sewell.
Hey everybody, I'm Earl Sewell. You can find me at earlsewellvoice.com. There you will find links to books I've narrated and also to my podcasts that you can listen to for free globally on any podcast app. And then also you can find me on social media. I put links to my various social media sites in the chat, but I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, And that is it. I will kick it over to Shakir.
Thank you, sir. My name is Shakir Rashan. I corrupt minds one book at a time. You can catch me tomorrow afternoon as I'll be speaking on both the Simon & Schuster Edge as well as Entangled. You can find me at home at www.shakirrashan.com. And I think that's everybody at this point. I don't believe. No, Lisa.
Both Lisas.
Well, I'm gonna just be real quick so Lisa can bring us home. Let's see. Romantic suspense. Danger doesn't always hide in plain sight. And you can find me at Lisa Dodson anywhere. Twitter, Facebook. Where else? Twitter, Facebook. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Twitter,
He
Facebook.
said, "You gonna find me walking me
everywhere.
outside."
I'll be like, just Martha, just Google me, Lisa Dodson. Google me, and I'm turning it over to Lisa.
She means Nalena Kai.
Nalena Kai, sorry.
A USA Today and Essence Magazine national best-selling author. I am a book whisperer, the person that you come to when you're thinking about writing and publishing a book, and I will actually help you to do the damn thing. I believe everyone has a story to tell, and I'm here to help you to tell it well. You can find me on Clubhouse. You can find me on Clubhouse. You can find me on
Clubhouse,
Instagram, and Twitter, as well as www.nalenakai.com. We thank you for being here tonight with us. You can be anywhere on a Friday evening, but you chose to spend it with us, and we love you, and we thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Remember, Central Standard Time. Thank you, and everyone have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night. It was a pleasure. See you tomorrow.